Do each of you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, starting with Brianna Eccles?
I do.
Next, Ms. Carolyn Eccles?
I do.
Thank you. And then Mr. Tristan Sells.
I do.
Okay. Now, there's a few more things I have to tell you before we move on to the actual substance of your case. The last part of the whole thing is that the 5 of us on the screen are the ones that are actually going to talk and be involved in this case. The person behind the video is my court coordinator. She's allowed to be here. She helps me if I need her, and she travels with me. So she's going to be there, but she will not be participating in the actual hearing.
Please remove your hat, sir.
Oh, thank you, Ms. Gonzalez. I am in the courtroom, even if you're sitting outside, it feels pretty comfortable, or you're in your home or bedrooms or whatever. It is still a courtroom, so thank you for that. Mr. Valderas, if you would now go forward with identifying yourself and giving me an opening statement on this matter so we can start with the testimony.
Yes, Your Honor. Edward Balderas for the Office of Attorney General. The Attorney General's office filed this petition and suit affecting the parent-child relationship and suit for modification of support order and motion to confirm support arrearage. In this case, I believe this is our first setting, and I have had a chance to speak with all parties. And I don't think that there is a dispute about the basic facts of this case. I'll go ahead and summarize, Your Honor, and before calling witnesses. But, Your Honor, in this case, there's one child, Briston James Sells. I might have got that right. It's Bryston. It's Bryston.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Bryston James Sells. He is 10 years old. Bryston is currently living with his grandmother, Carolyn Eccles. Brianna Eccles is Carolyn's daughter, and she lives with Carolyn as well. There is a 2019 court order which gives Miss Carolyn Eccles the primary conservatorship of Bryston. In that court order, there were provisions for conservatorship, visitation, and support, but only between Mr. Tristan James Sells and Miss Carolyn Eccles. At the time, Miss Brianna Eccles was a named party. However, the court made a finding that she had not been served, nor had she appeared, and that all orders herein are without prejudice to the mother's rights. And so in the 2019 order, Mr. Sells was ordered to pay Miss Carolyn Eccles, child support in the amount of $280 per month. There was a provision for medical support as well based on a government assistance health plan. And that amount for medical support was $62 per month. Let's see here. There was a retroactive child support judgment, but it was zero. So there was no retroactive child support in the court order. And that was everything in that 2019 order, Your Honor. That also included the standard visitation, possession and access schedule as well.
For the father.
For the father only.
Okay, I got that. Okay.
Now, Miss Brianna Eccles is here. She's participating today as well, Your Honor. And so before the court now is the issues of conservatorship, in particular with regard to Miss Brianna Eccles, possession and access, child support, and who should pay it. And there's also the issue of Mr. Sells' arrears that are currently outstanding to Miss Carolyn Eccles. And so after conferring with the parties, I believe that each one, I think that each one does really care for Bryston, and each one wants to be appointed as the primary conservator for Bryston. And so I believe that's the main issue before the court now, Your Honor. I believe Mr. Sells may also have an issue with what child support should be modified to. I'm not sure, Your Honor, how you want to approach this, if we want to do temporary orders perhaps, or reset the case for them to have time to gather evidence, perhaps, Your Honor, how you want to handle it just procedurally. But that's basically the facts that are before you today, Your Honor.
Okay, well, it occurs to me that the first thing is you said this was their first appearance today. Everybody showing up with after service.
I believe so. I think this is the first time everyone's here at the same time. Let me see if there's any other court settings where nobody. No, this is the first setting, Your Honor.
Okay, well, then I've got to go through the background here is on the first setting, when you first come to court and you find out what all the issues are about, and you're probably here on your own without even having thought about talking to a lawyer or bringing witnesses. I do give people the opportunity to tell me I'm not quite ready yet. Now that I'm here, I know what the issues are. Can I go away and try to see if I have a witness or two or hire a lawyer and come back? So on the first setting, that's kind of like a slam dunk. I do that so that we don't just go push forward just because we're all here. If you're not ready, you might not be ready. And it is an important issue. I've never had 3 folks fighting for the one child. It's usually 2. So what's happened in the past and what's happening now is important to me. The second part that I need, before I start asking y'all questions about it, the second part that is in the back of my mind is, Mr. Balderas, frankly, I can't do temporary orders on a custody case that has the effect of removing custody from the one who has it on a temporary basis. That has to be done at the merits. So I couldn't, if I heard a testimony, I couldn't rule on that. I could rule on financial issues, but not taking away custody, changing the conservatorship on a temporary basis. I don't think the law's changed in all the years I've been on the bench that's a no-no. You have the right to custody mod at the final hearing, not to give somebody the edge at a temporary order hearing, then come back to the final hearing.
Yes.
So I don't know if you would disagree with me or if you've heard that or not, but I've operated under that rule for 30 odd years now. So just saying. What else? The other part is custody is a big deal. And with a 10-year-old, I don't know where he is right now, maybe in school. Let me ask Ms. Eccles, is he in school right now?
Yes, he is.
You're shaking your head or nodding, yes.
Yes, he is.
The laws change back and forth on that issue about whether courts have to talk to children. I think it's gone back and forth so much in my tenure here that I'm thinking, okay, I think it's 12 at this point. It used to be 10. It's gone back to 12. Mr. Balderas, can you help me? I think it's 12. What do you?
I thought it was 13, Your Honor.
13?
Well, maybe I'm wrong about that.
I've never remembered 13. It's always 12 or 10 in my head, but that's okay. I'm just, we can easily find it. But if the child's not available and is of an age that could possibly testify and give an opinion, not that it would carry 100% weight, but it might carry some weight. If anybody wants me to talk to the child, it would be mandatory at the statutory age, which I think is the higher age, 12, but it's not mandatory if they're under that age. But I could still consider it if everybody wanted me to do it, if there were no objections. So, gosh, of all those 3 issues, the first setting to prepare the temporary orders, which I don't think I can do on the conservatorship issue, but maybe the financial issues, and talking to the child, those are 3 important things I want to think about before I decide whether we go forward today or do it another day. Oh, the last one, and if you're writing them down, I'm not Mr. Balderas, I don't want to forget them. So the 4th thing would be on a custody. I know it's comfortable to show up on the computer. It's really convenient, but sometimes it's quite the same as being in a courtroom and having the full benefit of, your full attention and witnesses and on the stand and seeing you more candid, I guess, and reactions to stuff. It's just sometimes I think that maybe custody we shouldn't be doing on a computer. However, do it all the time when people don't want to come back and they know what they're getting into. So there's also that if we continue on Zoom for this kind of case, or whether I think it's better to go back to a courtroom. However, for Guadalupe County, I haven't been there in a while, so I don't have a schedule that's set up to just tell you I have a court date. I have to actually go have my coordinator confer with the courts there and figure out what day would be a good day for us to go, that I can borrow a courtroom for your case. So there's all these little things you may not know about, but to me, they're big enough to consider them and to not just force the issue today on a 10-year-old, unless there's an emergency. Yeah, the only exception to temporary orders would be if there's an emergency situation that the child's in some kind of danger and I need to change placement for some kind of reason to that effect. So of those four things, Mr. Valderos, do you mind calling each witness and seeing, kind of, getting their opinion on all those things for me to figure out our way and see what I want to go for today or not?
Okay, yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor. State will call Miss Carolyn Eccles. Miss Eccles, do you need additional time to prepare for a hearing when it comes to conservatorship, custody, and who should have it when it comes to Bryston?
No, I don't need any time.
Okay. With regard to what the facts that I told the court earlier, did I get those right, or is there anything that I left out that you can recall?
Can you repeat it?
When it comes to the facts that I told the court, as far as what the situation is currently, that Bryston and Brianna currently live with you, is that all correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And Mr. Sells is ordered to pay child support to you currently,
Yes, he was.
and you have custody of Bryston.
Yes, I do.
Okay. Let's see here. Do you prefer to have an in-person setting when it comes to hearing this case, or would you rather remain on Zoom?
This is fine.
Okay. And is it true? I mean, I want to ask you more about this, whether it's today or at a future setting, but is it true that you are wanting custody to remain with you when it comes to primary conservatorship of Bryston?
Absolutely.
And do you think that's in Bryston's best interest?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And I believe that's
The other one was about the child being a witness or not, if they should have an
yes.
opinion on that.
Miss Carolyn Eccles, what do you believe what do you think it would be best for the court to make a decision? Do you think that Bryston should come to testify and talk to not testify, but talk to the judge privately about what his preferences should be? Or do you think
I don't know. He can if he wants to. I don't know if he would be afraid or not to know what to say to hurt anybody. If that's what the judge orders, then of course we will do it, but I don't think it's necessary.
From your perspective, does he care for all three of you?
Yes, he loves me and his mama. He loves his puppy. His dad, he doesn't really say. He doesn't get excited to go see his dad or either which way. He doesn't have much to say about him.
Okay. All right, Ms. Eccles. I think for at this point, Your Honor, I'll go ahead and pass the witness.
Okay, I thought I had a question too about all this. Oh yeah, you haven't lost possession of the child. He's been with you ever since 2019 when that court first made the decision?
Oh yeah, he's been with me since he's been in diapers.
And has mother, Ms. Brianna, while she's been in your house, taken over the duties, or who's acting as the primary in your house?
No, she's trying. She's learning. She's, gradually her and Bryston are getting closer and closer. It's going to take some time.
Okay. And then, not that it's definitive on my decision, but how old are you, ma'am?
I am 68.
And any medical conditions of any kind?
No.
And how old is your daughter?
Brianna is 28.
And can you tell me if you have a husband or the grandfather's there?
Yes, William Eccles, my husband, and Bri calls him Poppy.
I figured that, but I just wanted to establish that officially. William Eccles is your husband. He's Brianna's father, and y'all are married, and he's been living with you while the child's been there?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you for the information. So, Mr. Balderas, next witness.
Yes, Your Honor. State will call Miss Brianna Eccles. Miss Eccles, just kind of going over these preliminary issues here. Do you need additional time to prepare for a hearing on the issue of custody of Bryston?
No.
Do you want a chance to consult with a legal counsel or attorney or to gather evidence or anything like that?
No.
let's see, would you prefer to have this be in person or to remain on a Zoom hearing?
It can remain on Zoom.
And what's your opinion when it comes to Bryston speaking with the judge? Just so I can make it abundantly clear, it wouldn't be like an open court. It wouldn't be in front of everybody watching them. It would just be the judge and him talking. So it'd be a private conversation. What do you think?
And just so you know, here on Zoom, we have a break room we could go into, and I never go in there alone. I always have my coordinator be a witness, so I don't get accused of anything. But that's the way I set it up, not to testify in front of you all on live stream or anything like that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So
your answer?
I feel that it would be good for Bryson, so that way the judge can hear his side of how he feels about everything and everybody. So that way he has a mind of his own. And I feel like he should have a say so and what he would like to have. And just because he's 10 years old, I don't feel that he shouldn't have that right because he has a voice.
And let me follow up, Mr. Valdez, Ms. Eccles, Brianna Eccles. Do you know what he would tell me about who he would pick to have the primary custody?
Honestly, Your Honor, I couldn't tell you that.
Okay. No, that's fair. I just want to know if you think you know, because everybody thinks they know, and then when I talk to the kid, I get something else. So just trying to figure out what you might know ahead of time, or you think you might know.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Ms. Eccles, from your perspective, does Bryson care for all three of y'all?
Yes.
And just to kind of give the judge more of your background here, is it true that you're currently living with your parents, that you moved in earlier this year after you got released from prison? Is that right?
Yes, sir.
How long was your sentence in prison?
I was given a 10-year sentence and I served 2.5 years on it.
Okay. But now you're out and you're working. Is that right?
Yes, sir. I have a full-time job.
Okay. And you've got your own transportation?
Yes, sir. I saved up the money to get my own vehicle and I make payments on my car. And I take care of other financial responsibilities on my behalf.
Do you pay rent to your parents?
Yes, I do.
And is it your plan and ultimately to move out of your parents' home and have your own place?
Eventually, yes.
Okay. And are you currently pregnant?
Yes.
Okay. How far along are you in your pregnancy?
9 weeks.
And but that is not that pregnancy is with a different person, not Mr. Sells. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And so, all right. And what did you serve? What did you get convicted of for the prison sentence, ma'am?
I got convicted of 2 manufacturing deliverings of a controlled substance, 4 to 200, and 8 burglary of habitation and a theft of property.
Okay, ma'am. All right. I think that's everything I wanted to ask you. I'll go ahead and pass the witness.
We'll just go on to Mr. Sells. I think we have enough from Ms. Eccles.
Okay. The state will call Mr. Tristan Sells. Mr. Sells. With these preliminary issues here, do you need more time to prepare, to talk to legal counsel, or to gather evidence or witnesses for yourself?
No, I don't.
Is it true that you are also wanting custody of Bryston to be with you?
No.
No? Okay. Do you think that in Bryston's best interest, who do you think Bryston should live with?
I think his mom.
Brianna? Okay. And when it comes to making these decisions, do you think it should be by Zoom or in person?
By Zoom.
By Zoom? Okay. And what is your opinion when it comes to whether Bryston should talk to the judge or not?
I mean, I think that would be a good thing. I'm pretty sure he's gonna decide with his mother. That's the reason that I say that I would prefer him to go with where he wants, and I'm pretty sure it's his mom.
Okay. That may be what he wants, but if you kind of step back from it, kind of take an objective perspective, and think of what is ultimately in Bryson's best interest as a person, as an individual, just for him.
Well, for him, I don't think he should be with Carrie.
And
Gary is Miss Carolyn Eccles.
Yes, my nickname.
okay. And is it true that your communication and relationship with Carolyn Eccles is not great? Is that right?
Terrible.
It's terrible. Okay. Is it fair to say y'all just don't get along?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Does that play a factor in your statement that Bryson should live with Brianna, or be in the custody of Brianna?
Yes and no.
Yes and no. Okay. Alrighty, sir.
It's because she's unsafe. She's an alcoholic. She's abusive. I mean, my son has called me multiple times, screaming, crying, because he'll come back from my house, get interrogated and this and that, and call me that she's putting hands on his mom, and because the mom's trying to help me see my son. Brianna's been taking care of him since the day she came home, and none of them have to tell me that. My son will tell me that, and he's not trying to, he doesn't got nothing to hide or lie, or he's got no reason for none of that. His mom's been taking care of. She lets me know what he needs. We literally go half on anything he needs, school, supplies, anything.
Okay.
It's been 100 times easier for me to have contact with my son.
Okay. So I guess, so I understand now that Brianna's out and now that she's involved, because of that, you're able to see your son on a more regular basis. Is that true?
If I see him, I'm able to have my weekends and my times, and I mean, just how the court order, we go by the paper, and that's, I mean, if it's a holiday that I put him on, and she'll be like, okay, well, Bryce, do you want to stay with him for the extra day? If he says yes, which he always does, he stays with me, and we meet to exchange him. I'll take him at 6, or she'll bring him here, or.
And before that was happening, were you having visits with Bryson?
Never.
And was that because of the terrible relationship you had with Miss Carolyn Eccles?
Sir.
Okay. All right. I would like to go down with more questions about that, but I think for now, Your Honor, I'll go ahead and pass it.
Oh gosh, we have a kid who's probably knows where it might be easier to live, and it might not be with a stricter grandparent. I'm not even sure if that's the case, but Mr. Sells, let me ask you then. What were you were there obviously when this case was set in 2019 and grandma got custody? Were you there for the thing? Yeah. Do you remember why in 2019, if mom was she in prison yet, or was there something else going on in her life that she didn't come to court?
Honestly, I don't know.
You don't remember?
I showed up. I got a court date. I went. We weren't together at that time. So as far as where the other person was at that time, I have no idea.
That made me think you were implying you might be together or were together at some point, but you're not together right now, are you?
No, ma'am.
No. And you also acknowledge that she's pregnant, but that's not your child?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Well, it'd be real easy to go forward today and just have 3 witnesses and nobody calls anybody else, and and whatever I hear, it's a he said, she said. And it is what it is. I make decisions every day and Sundays sometimes, on cases in this manner. However, with a 10-year-old where one of the parties, at least Miss Brianna Eccles, is asking that I absolutely talk to the child, Mr. Sells, you said it might help.
I agree 100%.
But that would not
I know.
Just because I talked to him doesn't mean I'm gonna do what the kid wants, because I've seen lots of cases where it wouldn't be in the kid's interest to go jump in somewhere else where it's easier, cushier, and then it all goes to
Oh,
hell.
Your Honor,
He doesn't go to school, he doesn't do this, he doesn't do that. Yes,
if
Miss
I could
Carolyn
say
Nichols?
something, yes. When we went to court and we got the judgment order, Tristan never came by the house to see him for 10 years. Never called, never sent him a birthday card. Be
Okay.
quiet, Tristan. Never did
Okay, Ms.
anything.
Eccles, you want to actually testify on the merits of the case, so I don't need that right now, actually.
Oh,
If I
okay.
decide I go forward, yes, I'll need it. Right now, I'm still trying to flip a coin about whether I should hear it today or not.
Well,
Just
he
because,
had ample time to come see his son and he didn't. And I wouldn't let him pull his shenanigans. That's why he goes through my daughter, because I'm wicked. He just,
what about the alcoholism or abuse allegation? Okay, you have,
I have no clue. Abuse, I would never abuse anybody.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a couple of drinks a day, every day, but with his demeanor, his non-committal, his never showing up for anything, and then wanting to
Okay.
go through me, he won't go through me because I won't let him get away with it.
Okay, but there was a court order for visitation and you don't think he
He
did
didn't follow it for years.
Okay, fine.
Ma'am, I have
yes.
proof. You can ask her daughter, drunk, abusive person. She lives with knows.
Okay, now y'all have brought up enough allegations where I probably need to talk to the kid. So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna reset it so we can have the kid present. Is there a day that maybe you can get him out of school for this and hopefully be short and sweet on his part? I guess how far away is the school, or how hard is it to get him home from school or back to school if you're in the middle of a hearing, Ms. Eccles?
He's what, 5-10 minutes away? He goes to school around the corner on a school bus.
Okay, is the morning or afternoon, what kind of schedule does he have that would be easier to get out of some classes than others, or not miss some classes over others?
Well, he could skip the bus. I don't know if you wanted to do it tomorrow morning or the next day, and I can take him back to school after you talk to him. Or,
Well, sadly, my schedule don't work that way. Tomorrow I got another county, the next day I have another county, and so I only come to Guadalupe County when there's other cases set, and it's by Zoom, obviously, but my time is not just freely available for whatever. I've got other dockets, I've got other duties. So on another Tuesday,
What about today?
today,
Yeah.
like later this afternoon or something?
just let me know, and I have to get him out of school.
What time does he get out of school?
3:15.
What time's his lunch hour?
I think it's 12 to 12:30.
Do you know what classes he has, about 1 or at 2? Well,
Well,
maybe
he's
12.
he's one-on-one with the teacher. He's having problems focusing, so I don't
What
know
grade
if
is he in?
it's,
What grade is he in?
he's in 5th.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I'm thinking older than that. Okay. 5th grade, so one teacher, so he can be called out of class for the afternoon after lunch, maybe?
Yes.
So if I could get the child here, you'd be willing to go for today, Ms. Eccles?
Oh, sure.
And Brianna, you'd be okay with that too? You don't want to have time to bring other witnesses or explain yourself? Because your history too is gonna be paramount here.
Anything that you wanted to ask me, Your Honor, I'd be willing to answer, honestly about my past history, my criminal background, anything of that nature, why I wasn't there in 2019 for that court hearing. I'd be willing to be honest with you and tell you what's happened. But as far as my son being there, yes, I'm more than okay with him coming in today to speak to you.
And you've already said, Mr. Sells, you would rather just get this over with today, and nobody wants to take a breather and come back better prepared. I'm giving you that chance because this is a big issue.
No, I've been preparing for a long time.
Okay. What do I have today? The 10:30 dockets, a few cases. Does it, Mr. Valdez, did your office know?
I can ask and see how it's going right now. Let's see.
Because I might be willing to do this like at 1 o'clock. pick him up after lunch or something, or bring him home for lunch and then not go back. But to give us some time to wrap up the morning, and maybe we have a lunch break, but I could do it sooner if necessary, but not, probably no earlier than 12:30. If
What do
that's what is. Sir?
What by witnesses? Like I can bring in like outsiders that are witnesses, or just who here right now in Bryceton?
Well, the more witnesses you have, the longer it's going to take. You still don't have lawyers, but however, it might help. If you've got short witnesses, I'm not talking about, 20 people or even 5 people, but 1 or 2 people that could be character references or as a relative or that knows the child and knows more about your situation, that might be able to support whatever your story is, that sometimes helps. And Miss Eccles, Carolyn, on your part, if your husband's there or whoever else is in contact with you and the child, and even Brianna, that would help. But of course, I'm not telling you how to try your case. That's your job. And if you have somebody you can bring, great. If you don't, we go forward without it. So that would be a chance to set it for another day to see if you can clear anybody and get them to come, blah, 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 or get them to come by 1 o'clock. So does that answer your question, Mr. Sells? Are you willing to go forward at 1 or not?
Yes, thank you.
Yes, and Brianna, you still want to go forward at 1 with or without witnesses, as long as the child is brought here?
Yes, ma'am.
And Carolyn, same. You're willing
Yes,
to go forward?
uh-huh,
You
that's
can get the
fine.
child home. Okay, well then, maybe we have an afternoon docket, Mr. Valderas, and get this one done today. But I'd like to at least hear the child, since they've raised allegations I need to figure out.
Yes, Your Honor. Did you say 1 p.m.?
I did, may as well say 1. If I say 12:30, then there might be something that goes till 12:30 and I won't be available necessarily back to back. But if y'all want it over with today, I think I can do it. So let's just try. You don't have anything conflicting, Mr. Valderas? You don't have to be in another court in the afternoon?
I do not, Your Honor.
Okay.
I think the 10:30 docket is still going. I'm not sure if they need any
Well,
hearing.
I'd rather the child not miss much school, and he's still in the morning session. That's for sure. You pick him up whatever you want before 1 o'clock or during the lunch hour, and feed him or make sure he's whatever needs to happen. Is Carolyn Nichols, and
Sure.
I'll be ready to go at 1. And
All right.
does anybody have a job that's interfering with the afternoon schedule, Mr. Sells? You can be back at 1.
Yes.
Miss Brianna?
Yes,
Same.
ma'am. I'll be here.
Okay. Do you want to bring a witness? Now's your chance to try. But it looks like we're going to go forward on the merits, which is a final order. I can't do a temporary order to switch custody. So just be prepared, or be as prepared as you think you can be. And then
Yes, I will
child
bring my husband, his puppy.
and
would like to
child
sit
too.
in.
I need the child. Okay, then we're gonna adjourn, and at 1 o'clock, you can use the other Zoom ID that we gave you. We shouldn't have any people in that courtroom anymore by
Okay.
that time.
All righty.
Okay, then I'm gonna stop now and excuse you all, and we'll see you at 1 o'clock today.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Thank
you, Your
you.
Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Live streaming on YouTube. This is Judge Dulce Madrigal. I'm hearing cases out of Guadalupe County today on Tuesday, October 15th, 2024. At this time, I will call or recall cause number 182709 CVC. In my virtual courtroom are all parents and the state prosecutor. Let me, the Nagasoy parent, Brianna Marie Eccles. Ms. Eccles, go ahead and announce yourself again.
Brianna Marie Eccles.
And you're the mother of the subject 10-year-old child, Bryson?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Ms. Carolyn M. Eccles, who's the maternal grandmother of the child, the custodial parent. Ms., go ahead and announce yourself.
Yes, Carolyn M. Eccles. Yeah, Miss Gam.
Thank you. And then the father is also here as well, Tristan James Sells. Sir, go ahead and announce yourself.
Tristan James Sells.
I know I did this before this morning, but since I'm treating this as a brand new hearing, let me swear you in for the record again. All 3 of you raise your right hands. Do each of you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, starting with Brianna?
I do.
Thank you. And Carolyn?
I do.
And Tristan Sells?
I do.
Thank you. Mr. Valderas is here for the state. If you want to announce, and I still have some other things to say before you go forward, Mr. Valderas.
Yes, Your Honor. Edward Balderas for the Office of Attorney General.
And for the record, you have another colleague here in the courtroom with you, but that won't be participating. My court coordinator is also present in the courtroom. I told you earlier, and I'll just repeat it, that I am a court of record. A digital recorder is what the associate judges are given. Be mindful of that. Talk loud and make sure I hear you, and the recorder picks up. The live stream, I mentioned earlier, the open courts requirement in our Constitution, and we're required to live stream since we're on the Zoom platform. So there are people out there that can observe this at this time. I said we were going to start at 1, and we actually did start at 1, but I started with talking to the child first in chambers. I did not record that. And that would be Bryston Sells, age 10. So it took that long, about an hour. The other part of it is that do not record. It would be considered a violation of our laws, subject to contempt of court. So don't record the folks here in the courtroom, anybody outside observing them. And then everybody told me earlier that they were fine with having a custody dispute here on the Zoom platform. I assume that carries over to this afternoon. Brianna Eccles, you still want to go forward by Zoom on this custody dispute?
Yes, ma'am.
Carolyn Eccles, same question.
Yes, I do.
And Tristan Sells, same question.
Yes.
Okay, and I did offer you an in-person hearing with witnesses and time to prepare and all that other stuff, but y'all rejected that to hear it today, this afternoon, on this platform. Okay, then Mr. Valderas, if you want to start calling witnesses, I'll be happy to hear evidence from the adults.
Yes, Your Honor. State will call Miss Carolyn Eccles. Miss Eccles.
Yes.
How long has Bryston lived with you again?
Oh, since he was itty bitty in diapers.
And how did that come about? What was it that led to you getting physical possession of him?
Things weren't working out with Brianna and Tristan. They just kind of abandoned him, and he came home to live with me and my husband.
Who did you get the child from? Who did you get Bryston from?
Well, Tristan had left him in our home. I had just come home from work, and he was just taking off, and my son was here, and Josh was here with Bryston. So we took him.
And is Josh your son?
Yes.
Does Josh live with you too, or no?
No.
Okay. And ever since, how's Bryston been doing? I mean, it's he's 10 years old now, so how's he doing?
He's good. He's happy. This is a safe place. When Mama left and would come back and then leave, and same thing, Gammy was always here with Poppy to pick him up from the St. John's daycare. So he knew Gam was going to be there at 3:15, and I was. Years and years and years, I was there. I told him I would be there for him, and I never let him down. I was always there, me and Poppy. And he had a safe place to live. He was happy. He's made friends. He's doing good in school. He's just a happy-go-lucky little kid.
Okay. And what about it? What about his parents? Brianna, since you got Bryston, what was her relationship and her involvement since Bryston started living with you?
There wasn't really any. Off and on. She
Why would
didn't
you
live
say
with
that
us.
is?
She was into some nasty people.
Okay. Did y'all communicate very much at that time?
No.
Okay. And what about Mr. Sell's involvement?
No, he didn't. He hadn't paid any attention to Bryson for years, till my daughter called his parents from the halfway house, and then all this hell broke out.
Okay. So your daughter called Mr. Sells when she was in a halfway house. Was that after she got out of prison?
Yes.
And when was that?
She must have been talking to him. She was in the halfway house in January, and she came home, so it must have been, I don't know, November, December.
Okay. When
She didn't tell us she was in communication with them. She told us that they were contacting her, which I don't see how that was possible, since they didn't know where she was, or she had a computer in the halfway house or anything.
And so when Brianna got out of prison, when was it planned that she would come back to live with you?
It's before she was released in January. I had to go down to the probation office in Seguin and give them my name and address and told them, yes, Brianna was more than welcome to come home and live here.
Okay. And from your perspective, how has Brianna done since she's come to live with you?
Oh, she's done wonderful. I'm so proud of her with her job. She's gone up through the ranks. She's gotten raises. She's very well loved at her work. Just a little immature being a mom, but that's why I'm here, to help her along and smooth some things out. But I'm very, very proud of her.
Okay. You had said that when Brianna and Mr. Sells were in communication with each other when she was in the halfway home, that's when I think he called it I don't remember what she called it, but it was kind of a negative feeling here that's when all the trouble started or something. What do you mean by this negative trouble?
Well, he hadn't paid a bit of attention to his son all those years beforehand. Never sent him a card for Christmas or called or stopped by. We never stopped him. He could have come by and seen Bryston, but he never did. A door was always open. And then all of a sudden she comes to town, and then all of a sudden he's boom, back in our lives again. And it's just messed everything up.
So for the past, say, 10 months or so, Mr. Sells has been back in your lives?
Yes.
Okay. And does he see Bryston on a regular basis now?
Yeah, now he does, because he goes through my daughter. He won't talk to me about visitation. He won't even come into the driveway to pick up his son. He makes his son walk to the street to get into the car, which is irresponsible. He could come to the driveway, you know.
Okay. All right. How often does he see Bryston, Mr. Sells?
Oh, I guess every other weekend, like it's court ordered.
So by the court order? Okay.
Yeah, and sometimes she lets Bryce stay an extra day if she has an extra day off, if Bryson has from school. And if Tristan don't mind, then he gets to stay extra.
I think earlier this morning, you may have heard Mr. Sells testify that the relationship you and Mr. Sells have is terrible. Is it possible that he might not feel welcome at your home, and that's why he doesn't try to get near?
Probably he doesn't feel welcome. He had been over. He came over with his father and this new little girl. This was years ago. We welcomed into our house. Brianna was still in jail, and there were no problems. And then all of a sudden, nothing. I just told him, I said, I haven't received your child money yet. And he said, well, I switched jobs. I've told the attorney general, and my new boss is getting this all ready to send you. That was 2 years ago, and I've never seen anything.
Would you say that, I guess, your anger towards Mr. Sells is based on the fact that he doesn't pay child support?
It's that he's not a dad. He hides, he sneaks around, goes under a radar. Everybody else has to follow the rules, and he just doesn't follow any of them when it comes to the child or to the court's requests that he keep up, job changes, phone changes, address, none of that. He has never said anything to us about it. So even if we did want to reach him, we couldn't. I had no phone number. I didn't know where he was living.
Now that he sees Bryston more regularly, and is involved in Bryston's life and in your life, and do you see that as a positive step, that he's becoming more responsible for Bryston?
I don't know. My husband is here. He's my witness. If you'd like to talk to him and Tristan, I guess, get along better. I just don't like how he's treated us. Can I pass you to my husband?
Not yet. Not yet. One witness at a time. We're still talking to you. I'm going to finish with you and let the AG call witnesses. And I don't know if your husband will be first, second, or last, but we'll get there, ma'am. Not yet.
Okay.
Okay. Ms. Eccles, then let's move on to why we're here, the conservatorship. Who do you believe is that it's in Bryston's best interest to live with? Who do you think he should live with in his best interest?
Me and my husband, his poppy. We've always been here. We've always treated him excellent. We love him so much. He's always had clean clothes, food, warmth, everything. We've taken care of everything all of his growing up years. Got him on the Medicaid. He has a dentist. He has a primary care physician. Anytime he was sick or ill, I would take him to the doctor. There were no questions. I dropped everything for that little boy. And it's still the same feeling.
Do you believe that either Brianna or Mr. Sells, do you think either one of them would ever physically harm Bryston?
No.
What about
Never.
Emotionally harm Bryston?
Gosh, I don't know. Sometimes his mama gets so busy that she don't have time. And I don't know if it's not done on purpose by any stretch of the imagination, but after not being with her for so long, he's, trying to get her attention more and more.
What is your concern about Bryston living with Brianna, Miss Brianna Eccles, or that if she, and since she lives with you, what would your concern be about her having custody and decision-making power over Bryston?
I don't think she would put him first. I get the calls from the teacher about his schooling, his homework, his grades. If he's not feeling good, she can't always leave her job and put him first to go take care of him like my husband and I have. We've always put our kids first, and we are still doing that. I don't think she's capable of it yet. She's trying to get her feet on the ground and make a good living for herself, but she still hasn't shared time with Bryston yet.
Do you and your husband work, or are y'all retired?
No, we're retired. We on Social Security, and it's kind of hard when he wasn't sending child support, to pay for his school clothes, his school supplies. They're so expensive nowadays, to need help and everything. And he'd say, yeah, what do you need? And I tell him the shoe size or the pant leg size or whatever. Nothing. Nothing.
And if the court were to give custody or to have custody remain with you over Bryston, are you asking for child support from Brianna to you?
No.
Are you asking for any retroactive child support from Brianna to you?
No.
Okay. Let's see. Is it possible that you're concerned that Brianna might not have the time to put Bryston first because she has to work and so on?
Yes.
I mean, is it just easier for you to give Bryston more attention because you aren't working and you are retired?
Yes.
Okay. So, but is there anything? I mean, I think for working parents, they don't really have a choice. They have to work to support themselves and their children.
That's true. Your hours are so crazy.
So,
11 to 7 in the morning. Well, she's not here to put him on the bus, so me and Poppy do it. And if she's not home by 3:15, I don't want him coming home to an empty house. So we are here for him when he gets off the school bus.
okay. All right. And if Brianna were to move and leave your residence, what would your concern be about if she had Bryston living with him?
I think she would kind of neglect him, not on purpose, not neglect, being busy with work and everything, maybe not putting him first like I do.
Okay. Okay, Ms. Eccles. Can you tell me what your husband's name is?
William, Bill,
Bill Eccles? Okay.
yes.
Okay. I'll go ahead and pass the witness. I'd like to call him next, though.
Okay, I usually do this at the end, but in the interest of time, because it's fresh as well, Mr. Sells, Ms. Eccles, since Carolyn's been testifying, the other two parties, which are everybody here is acting as your own lawyer, but you have the same rights as lawyers do, which is to cross-examine any witnesses. So let me start with you, Brianna. Do you have any questions for your mom that have come up as a result of her testimony that you want to ask her about on the issue of custody, that what we're talking about right now? Any questions you have for her?
No, ma'am.
Want to bring out the answers that might help me making a decision?
If the same questions are going to be asked to me from Mr. Valdez, then I will go ahead and answer truthfully and to give you my side of the story, and any questions that you have reflecting my background, then I will go ahead and answer those as well for you.
Is there any questions you might have on her or your father that the way you can phrase them is, isn't it true that if there's anything that you want to ask, that would be a way to start if you want to bring out anything in their backgrounds or their history or their anything. It's not just about you. It's about them. It's about the father. It's about all of you. So you have the right to cross-examine. Do you have any questions for your mom at this time?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Mr. Sells, do you have any questions for Miss Carolyn Nichols?
No, I just,
If you want to respond, you're going to get a time, but right now it's questions to her, not
no, I don't.
in response. Okay, then it'll go quicker that way. So Mr. Valdez, next witness.
I just have
Yes.
one.
Oh, you have one? Go ahead.
Yeah, she's saying that she could never get a hold of me, but she said that she would text me telling me his school's clothes sizes, all these things. And I was just not there. I just don't understand that part.
Okay, even if you don't understand it, I need you to ask a question. Isn't it true that? And then add whatever you think.
Isn't it
want to
true
have
that
answered.
I attempting to him but got denied multiple times?
I
That's a
don't,
question.
you were breaking up. I didn't hear anything you said.
Okay, say it again, Mr. Sells.
I said, is it true that I was there trying to attempt to visit him and get him for my, my weekends and what's on my court order, but got denied every single time? And I mean, I have.
Well, let her answer
visual
that, and if
proof
you
of-
have some follow-up, you heard the question, Ms. Eccles, so you want to answer it?
No, not really. Only time we communicated was on the phone about the school clothes and stuff, and he'd say, yeah, he'd help, and then that was it. If he did try to communicate, he would always go through my husband, who talked more to him about the
Okay,
visitation.
he's asking it specifically about communication about wanting to visit. No, we're not talking. He's not asking about child support.
No, I don't remember that.
Okay. Any follow-up questions, Mr. Sells?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Did that raise any questions on your behalf, Brianna Eccles, to your mom?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Mr. Valdez, next witness.
Yes, Your Honor. State will call Mr. Bill Eccles.
Okay. If you just want to switch the camera. Great. I think I can see you. And actually, I didn't know you were going to testify, but I knew you were there. You go ahead and state your full name, sir.
William Brady Eccles.
William Brady Eccles. And then let me have you raise your right hand so you can be sworn in. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, sir.
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Go ahead and cross-examine Mr. Valdez.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Eccles, from your perspective, who do you think should have custody of Bryston between Brianna and Carolyn Eccles?
I believe that my wife and I should have I guess I'm not on the paperwork, but I'm here doing the work with everybody. But at this moment in time, I believe that we should still have custody of him until we get this whole thing gets resolved. My opinion is that the father, Tristan, could be a good father to him. And my daughter could be a very good mother to him, but all the tit for tat that goes on between everybody in this, and all the hiding of things that should be told. It's to me, it's ridiculous. My wife, I keep telling everybody that, listen, my wife and I are not going to be here forever. We're old. Okay. And eventually the boy, if my wife and I died tomorrow, this boy has to go with somebody. And I would prefer it to be with my daughter, but with also his father being in his life. I think that on everybody's side, mistakes have been made. But the bigger mistakes being between the father and the mother of this child.
Okay. Is Mr. Sells welcome at your house?
He's always been welcome. He's always been welcome here. Well, I've never, ever, ever said that he cannot come here. The only thing that I said, would have said to him is that he cannot take Bryson to, off this property. But that was before we got the court order to make sure that he's been released to his father. His family has always been allowed to come over here. Not once have I ever denied it. I think that if from my perspective, families, the history of families, my family and their family have some bad histories here, there, and everywhere else. But as far as denying them to come over, I mean, Tristan was allowed to come over here and be with his son. But there were times that he wanted him to be with him at his property, and I did deny it, and I admit that I denied it until the paperwork, until the law said I absolutely have to do that, because I felt that that he more or less liked his son more for the idea of ownership instead of a father-son thing. Because I feel that if a father and a son get separated through maybe a separation through marriage, that it's the father's responsibility to stand up and take care of his son financially, and that wasn't happening at all.
Do you think that's the source of the friction between Carolyn Eccles and Mr. Sells?
Well, I don't think it was in part, yes, but I don't think it was. If you put it towards the money thing, it wasn't because of the money. It was more because of the responsibility of the money. I mean, to me, it's like I told my daughter and my wife. I said, to me, I mean, when I was young, I was abused very badly to where the person that did it would have been in prison. But back then, that didn't happen. It was in the 50s, so it didn't happen. But it taught me a very good lesson in my life. And the one thing is children always need to come first. Always need to become first, and they have to be put on right up top of the list. And that I didn't see that happening between my daughter. I didn't see that happening between Bryson and his father. But it did happen here. We've been giving that little boy such a good life here. But I do want to see him to get back with his father. I want him to get back with his mother, and whatever, on good terms on both sides. And that would be, if the judge would ask me what I wanted, that's exactly what I want to happen. I have no animosity.
Did I lose somebody?
There's Mr. Calvano, Your Honor.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. I just want to make sure it wasn't one of the parties. Thank you.
I have no animosity towards the father, other than the fact that I think that I don't respect him in the way that he basically emotionally abandoned him. The monetary part was no big deal, because I could take care of him, and I did. I took care of him all these years. If it was just the money thing, then I think that would be the ugliest thing in the world, because I don't enjoy money myself. I think it's a root of all evil. I know that's a pun, but
yes,
but
yes.
But no, that just because of the way I was raised in my early years, when I see somebody that's not stepping up to the plate like I think they should, like my father and mother should have done for me, then yeah, I get angry. I get mad. But I don't lose my temper. I mean, sometimes lately I have, as the older I get, I guess the word codger or whatever. I mean, the older I get though, and the less time I think I have, the more I get anxious and I want to make things happen in the right way faster. But anger, I can see anger coming out from everywhere, but the little boy sees it too. I mean, we live in a mobile home, a double wide mobile home. It's not very big. You can't really get away from arguments, yells or words or whatever. You can't get away from it. And it's if I don't know, it's just to me that I think he's better off here. Yeah, I think I can prove that he's better off here with us because we've had him for all these years and he's doing well. I mean, there are things that probably he's heard, seen, or gone through through all this that makes him probably like it made me when I was little, confused and a lot to carry around. So, okay. And I hate to see that, but and I hate to draw this conversation out. So basically, what I'm saying is, yeah, I think he should do well with us for a little longer. But my daughter is coming along, and she's coming along really good. And I would like to be able to pass the baton, so to speak, over to her. And then she can get with the father. And then those two work things out to where all of a sudden it's all smiles again.
Yes, sir. Okay. Has Mr. Sells ever given you or your wife money outside of the Attorney General's state of Texas system? Has he ever given?
Well, I don't know how to answer that. He's given us money. He has reached out and given us money. He's bought some gifts and clothes for his son. But it's been too few and far between. I'm thinking that I don't like that. I think the only thing I didn't like about the whole situation is, first of all, not being able to it's just he moves around a lot, or he just sidesteps everything. And to me, it's shunning his responsibility. I just think that you should just plant his feet in the ground and say, okay, this is my son. He comes first. He's my responsibility, and then just be forthright and outcoming, and just be truthful to everybody, and just say, okay, he's my son. Here's the money. Okay, here's what, and not giving me or my wife the money and saying, here, this is what I owe you, because that's not what I'm looking for here. I mean, if the court says he owes us $11,000 or more dollars, I don't care about that. I really don't. At this point, I don't. But I do care that if he's got money to give us, he can give it to his boy. I don't care. Put it in a bank account to where it's a savings for Bryson when he gets older. That's fine with me. To me, it's not about the money. It's about this little boy. And I think that I think they were both young when they had the baby. I think that was the biggest problem is my daughter and Tristan were way too young to have this boy. And he wasn't planned. So it was, it just happened overnight and they were too young. And basically that's why I stepped in. And I think it was me more than my wife. I stepped in and took the reins and said, this boy can't start out like this.
Okay.
So.
Okay, Mr. Eccles. Thanks, sir. I'll pass the witness.
Okay. Brianna Eccles, you have the right to cross-examine. William Eccles, do you have any questions for your dad at this time?
No, ma'am.
Same question for you, Mr. Sells.
Yes, ma'am. I think two. Say, is it true that basically I wasn't getting my kid or anything because of resentment or money?
You weren't getting your son because of the way you came off about it. To me, made it sound more like he was a possession and not your boy. That's exactly the reason why that's the biggest reason why I didn't give him to you when you came to me like that, because of the way you stated it and the tone of your voice. And the words that you used, it sounded more to me like you were just beating your chest like King Kong and saying, he's my son and I want him. And that's the reason why you didn't get him.
Okay.
He wasn't a possession. He's a little kid.
Is it true that I have given him money to himself and Carrie went in and stole it from him?
And no, that's not true. That is not true. My wife did not steal anything from this boy.
I have physical proof of all the lies y'all are saying.
No, I don't think you do. I don't think you do. I'm not gonna draw this out into an argument, and I think what you're doing is, I think you're trying to right now. I think you're trying to put on a show, and that's not.
Okay, he answered your question. Do you have any follow-up questions, Mr. Sells?
Yes. Can I ask you a question?
Who, me?
Yes, you.
Well, I'm not on trial, but tell me, what is it, procedural, or what is it you want to know from the court?
Wondering if at any point will I be given a chance to show all the documents that I have that, will literally state.
I'm gonna let the state, when they call you as a witness and you have stuff that you can put on the computer, I might allow it, depends on what I hear it is. But right now, as cross-examined, Mr. Eccles, no, this isn't the right time. So finish your questions of William Eccles and we'll move on.
I'm done.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anything further for this witness, Mr. Balderas?
No, Your Honor, not from the state.
Okay, thank you. And we're sure that William Eccles does not have legal custody, right? It's just the grandmother that has the legal custody from the prior order?
In the order.
Okay, you're allowed to be there, Mr. Eccles. However, I need Miss Carolyn Eccles back on the screen since she's the actual legal party in this matter. Okay.
Here I be.
Thank you. Then next witness, Mr. Balderas.
Yes, Your Honor. State will call Miss Brianna Eccles. Miss Eccles, I wanted to get your perspective on all of this. Let's go back to the beginning when Bryston went to live with his grandparents. How did that come about?
It happened because, to be honest with you, I wasn't ready to be a mother. I was 17 when I got pregnant with him. I had him at 18. Me and his father, we were together, we broke up, we were together, we broke up. It was just kind of back and forth. We were both very young. And at some point or another, I wanted to go and hang out with my friends. I wanted to go out and party. I wanted to do the things that an 18-year-old should. And I did not put my son first. And I was going out and staying out all hours of the night. I wouldn't come home until the next day or a couple days later. Not that I was doing anything wrong or illegal at that point in time, but I was just hanging out with my friends and going out clubbing. And then I did not abandon my child. My mother had asked me if I would sign temporary guardianship over to her.
And so, at some point you went to prison.
Yes.
And was that the first time you'd gone to prison?
Yes.
Okay, so what happened there? What did you go to prison for?
I went to prison for manufacturing and delivering of a controlled substance. I was set up by a confidential informant, and I sold methamphetamines to an undercover cop. And I was already on a probation for a burglary of habitation due to the ex-boyfriend that I was with. I was guilty by association on that charge. But I was also in a very heavy drug addiction. And
okay. Yeah. What drug or drugs were you addicted to?
Methamphetamines.
Okay. Was that the first time that burglary and then the following possession charge, was that the first time you'd been arrested or first time you'd gone to prison?
It was the first time I went to prison. Prior to that, I got arrested for petty theft I got arrested for popcorn chicken at Walmart. I don't know if you're going to count that, but I went to jail overnight for that. But after that misdemeanor, I was dismissed. I didn't get in trouble until years on later, but then I got involved in the drug addiction.
Okay. Now, you said, I think earlier that you had a 10-year sentence, but you served 2 years of that.
I served 16 months on it, yes, sir. And then I got paroled on it, and I had to go to Safe P for substance abuse. And it was basically a rehab, but in prison. I went there for 6 months and completed that successfully. And I went to a halfway house in Amarillo. I was released from prison November 1st, and I came home January 1st.
And
What year was that?
I was released last year in 2023.
Just November 1st?
Yes, ma'am.
It's going to be 1 year this November.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
and so I think your lifestyle has definitely changed between before you'd gone to prison and after prison. When did you decide to make that change?
Well, when I was out there in my addiction, I was having fun. I was getting high. I suffer from a depression problem. So, of course, the drugs didn't help, but really, I would always tell myself I'm not ever going to stop until I get caught. And then as time went on, I got caught. And for a while, it took me a while to actually sit there and take accountability for my own actions. Besides that, I was blaming the person that set me up. I was blaming the cop. I was blaming everybody else except for myself. So when I went to prison, I had a lot of time to sit there and think and get sober and gather my thoughts and how I perceive life. And I knew when I came out that I wanted to be a mom to Bryson, and I wanted to do right, and I wanted to have a job and go back to school and be successful and be a form of society that I won't ever get looked at wrong again. I mean, my record shouldn't define the person that I am. I made some mistakes, but it's not who I am now. I'm sober. I have a job. I have a car. I'm supporting my son, and I'm doing the best that I can.
When you were in the halfway house or when you got in Amarillo, did you reach out to Mr. Sells or did Mr. Sells reach out to you?
So I had access to a cell phone. From that point on, I made another Facebook, and his dad, Tristan's dad and stepmom had reached out to me, sent me a message on Facebook and just asking how I was doing, if I was okay, when I was going to come home. And they've never personally done any wrong to me, and they weren't being ugly to me, so I had no reason to be ugly back. And so I was just having basic conversation with them, and they had just said whenever I was home and I got off an ankle monitor, they wanted to see Bryson. Okay.
And so how did that lead to Tristan Sells?
Tristan reached out to me a few days after I was back here at home. Again, it was through Facebook. He had sent me a message asking, how I was doing, how things have been, if I was okay, how Bryson was, about me, how did he feel about me being home. I did let Bryson talk to Tristan on the phone. And then it was coming around the time where I wanted to start planning for Bryson's birthday, which is in May. And Tristan wanted to know what I was going to do. And so we were just trying to plan accordingly because Tristan wanted to be a part of it. Prior to that, Tristan had mentioned, he was going to the river with his family. They were going to barbecue and stuff. And I'm on a phone call and Bryson can hear everything. So when Bryson heard that, he got really excited. He got real happy. He wanted to go. He wanted to go swim. He wanted to see everybody. And I had talked to my mom, and she then allowed me to go with him. And I stayed with him. And that was the first time I had seen Tristan since we separated, and we separated when Bryson was 3. And Bryson, that was the first time Bryson had seen him since Tristan had came over here with his little girl and his dad. But when that happened, I was still incarcerated, so I did not see Tristan.
Okay. And so then as your mom described, ever since has Tristan seen Bryson more regularly?
Yes. I feel that if I wasn't here, if I was still incarcerated, Tristan would not see Bryson. He would not have seen him. And I feel that me stepping in, I'm not too sure. And of course, in their eyes, it wasn't the right thing. I shouldn't have stepped in because they see me having no part of this situation because I wasn't there for any of this. But I feel in my mind that it was the right thing that I needed to do just because I've made mistakes. My son is still in my life. And I feel that because his father has made mistakes too, not nearly as bad as what I've done, but that doesn't mean he shouldn't be a part of his son's life.
From your perspective, why is there the animosity between Tristan and Carolyn?
Because I mean, Tristan did not, pay child support. I know that was like a huge thing. And then from the time that I was in my addiction throughout this, with my ex-boyfriend, and then going to prison, from that time, Tristan was never around. From what I was told, of course, I wasn't physically there for it, but he was never around, but neither was I. And I feel that also the animosity comes from because my mom drinks.
Do you think your mom has a drinking problem?
Yes.
Does she have a bad temper when she drinks?
Sometimes, yes.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to say more about your mom's drinking?
It's not, I can't compare it to anything else. I can understand in a way because I went through an addiction myself. I mean, mine was just drugs. I don't feel that hers should be excused just because hers is alcohol and hers is legal. I feel that when she wakes up, she's happy and she's in a good mood and she's smiling and she's laughing. And when she comes home from drinking, she's not like that anymore. And it hurts. And there was a time where I was with Bryson and we went swimming with his father and his dad's girlfriend and the family. And I was holding a beer for his dad's girlfriend. I don't drink at all. I don't like the taste of alcohol. I was holding a beer for her and Bryson had seen me holding it. And he said, "Mom, what are you doing? Put that down." And I told him, I said, it's not mine. And he said, and Tristan's girlfriend had said, it's okay if I wanted to have a drink. And Bryson said, "No, it's not okay because my grandma drinks. And I don't like the way she gets." And just hearing that, it hurts because I miss my mom. I do. But like I said, in a point I can understand her addiction, but like I said, it's no excuse just because it's legal. And it's just really hard. I'm trying to be a mom, but it's so hard when she doesn't let me be a mom. And I don't get to talk to Bryson's teachers. I don't get to hear how he does or pick him up from school because she doesn't allow me to. I'm not on any of the paperwork at all. And I feel that she doesn't want me to have custody. It's not because I wouldn't put him first. Right now, I'm trying to get my life together. And if I could put him first, like her biggest concern is my work schedule. I work all these crazy hours because I know that I have my parents here to help me. And right now I don't have custody of my child. And so I'm working and trying to save and do what I'm supposed to do to better myself. But it's hard when I'm trying to do that, but it's like I feel like there's a wedge coming between me and I can't do it. And I want to be able to put him first. And it's just I can't because she won't let me. I can't make any decisions when it comes to him. If I want to take him somewhere, I feel like I shouldn't have to ask to take my son to the store or take him to go see his dad. I shouldn't have to ask permission. Would never put my son in harm's way of danger.
And so for all these reasons, do you want to be the person that has custody of Bryston?
Yes. And currently I am pregnant now with my second child, and I feel like I don't know what to do, because it's like, how am I supposed to know what to do when I've never been given the chance to do it whenever she has custody of Bryson and she's raised him? And I get why she's done it, because I haven't been here. But now that I'm here and I'm trying and I still can't, I don't even know what to do with the second child. I feel lost.
Okay. So your situation right now, realistically, do you foresee that you're going to be staying with your parents for the foreseeable future?
For now, yes. I would like to get my own place. It is a little bit harder for me due to my background. But I know there are places that are willing to help and work with me. It's really just going to depend on me. But I have just so much going on, and I haven't. Next month will be a year that I've been out of prison. The halfway house I was in wasn't the best, so it was ultimately when I came home was going to be the ultimate test for me.
Okay. Do you have any plans to move out anytime soon?
Anytime soon, no.
Okay. When would you, if it all went according to plan, what worked out for you, when would you think you would be moving out?
Next year sometime.
Do you think your mother can be overprotective of Bryston, that maybe she's worried for him to go live with you?
I wouldn't call it overprotective. I feel like it's more of a control thing.
If the court were to decide to have custody remain with your mother, how would that affect you?
I mean, it would just show that the court feels that I'm not ready, but how is the court ever going to know that I'm going to be ready just because they're hearing what I have to say or what my mom has to say? I mean, in all honesty, what real reason is there? Because she feels that I don't put him first. I don't feel like that should be justified as a result in what happens, whether or not I get custody of my child or not.
Okay. All right. Now, if the court gives you custody, Ms. Eccles, are you asking that child support be paid to you by Mr. Sells?
Yes.
Okay. I don't think we talked about it, but do you know what kind of health care coverage Bryston is on right now?
He's on Medicaid.
Okay. Let's see. I'll go ahead and pass the witness, Your Honor. I may have more additional questions for her later, but I can't think of any right now, so I'll pass the witness.
Just real quick, how old are you, Brianna?
28.
Do you know how old your mom and dad are?
My mom is 68 and my dad is 71.
Okay. Do you know how old Mr. Sells is?
He's 26.
Okay. And given the history you just told me about, I guess it lasted from what, after the birth of the child? You weren't drugging when you were pregnant with
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
That started years later, or well, right after the birth?
It was going to be after he was 3 whenever I took off.
Okay. So do you know how old he was when they got custody of him, or she got custody of him?
Bryson would have been 4 or 5. That was in 2019. He was born in 2014.
Okay. And then you weren't there for that hearing, or were you available to be there and just chose not to go, or what?
I was never served, Judge, but to be honest with you, I was in a toxic relationship with my ex-boyfriend, and I was also under the influence of drugs, so I was not going to show my face in a court.
So they were able to find Mr. Sells a lot easier than you, so they just went the, well, easier route if you had removed yourself from the picture, I presume.
Yes,
Is that
ma'am.
what it sounded like? Okay. So you don't drink at all?
No, ma'am.
When was the last time you did any drugging?
August 5th of 2021.
So right before, I guess you got busted or got put in jail and sentenced, I guess?
Yes, ma'am. That was the day that I was arrested. And I got sentenced to prison in April of 2022. That's when TDCJ came and picked me up.
But you were in a jail facility in between?
Yes, ma'am. I was fighting in 2 different counties. My burglary and my theft of property came out of Wilson County, and my manufacturing delivering charge came out of Guadalupe County.
Okay, you recognize that all that sounds bad and that it was a long period of time before you got to this point, and you've only had, well, sobriety, it looks like good, but it was because of you were incarcerated. You've only been out 1 year where you had the opportunity to go back to that kind of lifestyle, and you've chosen not to?
I've had plenty of opportunity, Your Honor. Especially more, it really started taking effect at the halfway house. Like I said earlier, the halfway house was not the best place. I don't recommend that halfway house for anybody. But that was my ultimate test right there. And I decided in prison that I did not want that life anymore. I don't like the way the drugs made me feel after a while, and what it did to me. What it did to my family, it tore me apart, and it made me feel numb to everything. And at first it was okay because it helped, but then it got worse.
Yes, it does. And you can't guarantee anything. I mean, I can't guarantee anything either. Nobody's God and or have superpowers, but how do you convince me that you're not going to backslide and create a bigger mess for Bryston?
Correct. I only have time and room to go forward. I don't have time to go backwards.
Your mother's drinking is it a real big problem? Or, I mean, lots of people have a few drinks. I think she may have admitted to me either on the record or before that she drinks, I thought she said every day, but I thought it was wine. It was a few glasses. Or
she drinks box wine and she drinks every day. There is not a day that goes by where she doesn't drink. And it's either here or she drinks with her neighbor. And like I said in the beginning, and in the morning, my mom's nice and she's cheery and she's happy and she's full of life. And then when she comes home or when she's just here and her friend leaves, she's not my mom. She's somebody else. And like I said earlier, I can recognize it because I've been through it with my drug addiction, because I was definitely somebody else and I wasn't myself.
You think Bryce sees it or recognizes it? Or?
Absolutely. And the fact that he saw me with the beer in my hand that wasn't even mine, and he got scared that I was going to drink it, and he did not want me to be like his grandma. So Bryson is too smart for his own good. He sees and hears everything. Yeah. And nobody feeds him anything or tells him this or that. He sees it for himself.
He's a bright boy. And the last thing I want to do to anybody, and I'm not raising these issues lightly, but also I do want to know the truth, and I am going to get everybody's opinions, but I don't want to make it worse than if you walked in with. I mean, if there's already some tension there, I get that, but they're your parents. They're letting you live there. They've taken care of your child all this time because he's 10 years old when you weren't available. I have to ask, do you think there's going to be any repercussions as a result of coming to court and asking for your child back, whether you win or not, or whether they win or not?
I mean, eventually, if you did not grant me to have my son back, I would be back later on to get him back. He is my child and I love him, and I made mistakes. I don't feel that what happened to me and the choices that I've made should be continuously held over my head. I paid my debt and I'm still paying for it. I am on parole. And I've done the utmost for parole. I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to, and I've maintained all of the requirements that the state is wanting from me. And it's even more so because it feels good to do it. I'm not just doing it because I have to. I'm doing it because I want to do it. And I want to be better for myself and for my son.
The other thing I'm thinking about is, and I heard your father say this, even if your mother didn't, or maybe she kind of intimated it, and maybe you too, that it might be a progression, that the more responsibility you have or take over, maybe they see that, and then maybe they'll be more comfortable with it. And because of the age difference, and you still have, well, not that long. He's already 10, so he got 8 more years of turning 18 or finishing high school if it's after he's 18. Well, they'll be a little bit older, and I don't know how much harder it would be or not, but
I don't feel that this is my parents' responsibility. I know they would never turn away Bryson whatsoever. They wouldn't do that. But it is not their responsibility. They are supposed to be grandparents, and that's what they are.
But you get that you turn them into parents by your own behavior. You get that.
Yes, ma'am.
And it's hard to unbond from a child once you've had them. I mean, parents have a hard time at 18 taking their kids to college and wanting to move into the dorm with them. You know, it's hard. So I can imagine with grandparents that took over for a parent. However, what about you? If you got custody, are you going to be vindictive and say, and there's a case law that the parents get to decide what relationships their kids should have, and the court can't step in. And if I remove them as custodians of legal custody and make you it, and if you're mad at them or you're holding a grudge against them or whatever, and you don't have to let them visit with grandparents, and that would be horrible. In my book,
Your Honor, if you gave me custody of my child, that's not going to give me my pass to say, okay, well, I'm moving out now because I have a hold on my son now. I would still remain here. They would still be the grandparents. I would just have more of the say-so of what happens with him when it either comes to seeing his dad, or if he's going to miss school, or if he's going to stay up 30 minutes past his bedtime, or it's just little things like that. And they may be little things, but they mean so much to me because it's my son will come and ask me something. And sometimes I'm so afraid to answer that question, because it's like, if I answer it and I don't answer it the way my mom would want it to be, then there's going to be problems in this house. And my son is like, well, you're my mom. You should be making these decisions. And I know that's hard on him. He shouldn't have to be saying that at his age. I would not remove myself or Bryson from this house if you gave me custody.
People can say anything in court, and tomorrow would be a different picture, and you have a piece of paper with you that says you can. What would stop you from doing that, just to show them who's the boss, or just getting away from controlling?
I'm not vindictive in that sense, Your Honor. I'm not. I've learned that I need to be the bigger person in a lot of cases, and that is something that I've learned over time. That is something my dad has taught me, and that is actually something that prison has taught me as well. I learned a lot, and I'm not the same person I was before I went in, even before my drug addiction.
You know, I've seen a lot of things over the years doing this job, and one of the things that occurs to me is, like, if I remove them as primary conservators, however, let them have joint custody with you because you're still in the house, and if you were to backslide, they'd be there in case you did. And they could take over, or things go smoothly and well, and you prove it, and you get the job with the good hours, and you can take the kid to school and put him off on the bus in the morning, all that stuff that you can't do now.
Your Honor, I don't have a schedule to where I do not get my son up for school every day. I get him up for school. I am home. I get home around midnight. I go to sleep, and my son sleeps with me. And I get him up for school at 6 o'clock every morning, and I put him on the school bus every single day.
And who gets him from school at the end of the day?
My mom is either here, my dad's here. My mom's either here or she's next door at the neighbor's house, but there is always somebody here. And now
But you can't do it because you're already at work at that point, or what?
Yes, ma'am. Well, sometimes I am here for when he is off the bus. My schedule changes. If I go to work at 3:45 or 3:30, typically I'm still here when he gets off the bus. It's only on 2 days a week that I go to work at 3 o'clock, then I will not be here. And he gets off the bus at 3:15.
Okay. Did you hear me say that if I gave you all joint custody, but you had the primary, it might work well and it might give you both what you need? You the control of a parent, them some backup in case you backslide. I'm seeing that as a healthy compromise if you're going to be under their roof anyway. What would you say is wrong with that plan? Or is there anything wrong with that?
I can't say that there's anything wrong with it because I've never tried it. And I haven't been able to give it the chance. I think that if you were to do that and grant this, then I would try it, and I would really try and not just try just because you're saying so. I would try for me, and I would try for Bryson, and see how it goes. And I would try for my parents too, so that way we can all still be a family and be happy, and that there's no fighting or yelling or screaming or this, that, and tit for tat with my son.
It occurs to me as much as they've been involved, they want to keep doing that. But it occurs to me, yes, as grandparents, they might be able to relax some and let you do the heavy lifting because they've been doing it. And at their age and when they're retirement, well, maybe they want to be actual grandparents instead of parents. But I haven't raised that with them. I used to do that with minors who I know were going to graduate from high school and then leave the house. And the parents needed to be there because the grandparents needed to be there because the parents were still children themselves. They were still under 18. And that seemed to work as a joint thing. And then when it was time to grow up and get out and take your child, they had the right to do that. But grandparents still had some rights and not to give you child support, but maybe to have visitation rights. So in case you picked up and moved, they could still guarantee that they would be in the child's life, certain days, certain weeks, whatever, in case it went south between you all.
I just don't want there to be, if I wanted him to go, if he wanted to go stay with his dad and I want him to go stay with his dad, I don't want there to be an argument. I don't want there to be, oh, well, no, or this or that.
And I get that. And I wouldn't be trying to set up anything conflicting that dad's rights as a parent should supersede, but the grandparents would still have access legally by a court order so that you all can't just turn your backs on them since he has been a big part of the child's life. They have been a big part of the child's life. But do you see what I'm saying? And can you put other holes in it or tell me why it won't work?
Yeah,
no, ma'am, I can't tell you why it won't work. I would like to try it. I want to be able, I've come this far in my life. And if I can prove this to myself and to my family and to my son that I've changed this way, that I want to be able to show them that I can do it this way too. And be given the responsibility. I don't ever take on the responsibility because it was never really given to me. My mom and dad both have always just been there to take over everything. So I pretty much just got like a free pass to kind of lean on them and just let them take it on themselves. And I don't feel that they should have to do that anymore.
Okay. Anything else you want to say, Ms. Eccles?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Sells, do you have any cross-examination questions of Breonna Eccles?
Yes. Just one.
Okay.
Is it true your mom stole that I gave Bryson?
Wait, I didn't hear the question. Is it true that what?
Is it true that the money that I was given to my son was stolen by Carolyn?
I was told about the incident, what had happened. My brother had told me I was not here to witness it myself. My brother had told me that Tristan had given Bryson some money. And I guess he and Bryson had later on told me, but Bryson had told my mom about it, and she had taken it, and Bryson didn't get to keep that money for himself. Now, what that money was used for, I don't know. But I know that Bryson will still bring it up from time to time. And it is something that had upset him really bad. And he just didn't understand. But I was not here to see it. But I was told about it from my brother and from my son.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, Mr. Sells, how much are you alleging that was?
I gave him $100 bill for his birthday.
Okay. Any other cross-exam for Breonna?
Is it true your mom puts hands on you when she gets drunk?
My mom and I have been in a few altercations, none of which that hands were being thrown or anything like that. But she was under the influence, and she was angry, and she had thrown something at me. She threw I'm pretty sure it was a can opener. It was a metal can opener, and it hit my wrist. And I was upset just because of the conflict that was happening between us. Didn't need to happen. I didn't like the fact that it was getting waved around in my face that my mom was the custodial parent and I had no say-so, and that my dad had no say-so in anything that happened to Bryson because he wasn't on the papers. And so I was mad. And so I called her out of her name and I cussed at her, and she came walking towards me. And I thought she was going to hit me. She didn't. She stepped back, but then she threw a can opener at me and it hit me. And my son was standing behind me and he saw everything that had happened. And I had went into my room after that. And that's when Bryson had called his dad and Taylor to tell them what had happened.
How long ago did that happen?
It was a couple months ago, maybe a month and a half ago. I could probably give you an exact date later on if I can find it, but
roughly, but we're mid-October. You don't know, it was summertime or school time or?
It was definitely, Bryson was already back from his dad's. It was actually one of the times that I had gone over there to pick Bryson up from his dad's to bring him back home.
Was that the summer or was that when school started?
I think it was right before school started. I'm not too sure. He got him in the month of July. He had him the entire month. And then he came back home on the 1st.
August 1st?
Yes, ma'am. And then he started school August 11th or the 12th.
Well, I haven't heard this from anybody. The child spent a month with his father this summer, and I assume that was with his grandparents. Or was it permission? They didn't.
It's due on the court order from 2019 that Bryson is supposed to be with Tristan 1 month out of the summer, that month of July. Bryson, it was more or less what me and my parents had agreed on is we wanted Bryson to be comfortable, and so did his dad. With staying with Tristan. So they were going to try and limit Bryson to stay there for a week at a time and to come home. But Bryson was more than ready to go and stay with his dad for that month because of the time previous from that of the weekends he was going over there and seeing his dad. And then when I was going over there to show Bryson that he was okay to be with his dad.
Okay, so it was like a standard possession order where he got the whole summer under the court order. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
That makes sense. Okay, did you have any follow-up, Mr. Sells, for Brianna?
No, ma'am.
We're already done. Miss Carolyn Eccles, you have the right of cross-examination. Do you have any questions for your daughter?
No, I don't.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. State needs to call at least one more witness.
Yes, Your Honor. State would like to call Mr. Tristan Sells. Mr. Sells, I think just with the other two, I want to go back to the beginning. What happened from your perspective that caused Bryson to live with his grandparents?
I mean, we were young, and at that time, I never once agreed to them taking possession of him. I lost in court because they were more financially stable than me. I mean, they were more stable than I was.
Is it true that you dropped off Bryson at their residence some years back?
Some years back? I don't understand.
Well, you may recall that Miss Carolyn Eccles testified that she was coming home, you were leaving, that Bryson was left with their son James, I believe his name was
Josh.
I'm sorry, Josh. Do you recall that happening?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't.
Okay. All right. And so then what happened when Bryson started living with his grandparents? From your perspective, how has the situation been like between that time to when you started seeing Bryson more after Miss Eccles got out of prison?
I mean, I have communication. I have all these things on my phone that have never been deleted about me trying to go see him, to, be there. But it was never really Bill. It was always Carrie. If I didn't have $1 to show her, then I don't get to see him, basically. It's all about money for them. And if you don't have money when you come to their house, then you basically, I had to rent my son to see him.
So, from your perspective, because you had not paid the child support, you were denied access to your son?
Yes. And up until I started cash-apping them here and there some money, like 50, when I first went to see him, I had to send her $50 right then and there so that I could get him and leave the property.
I can't see.
I see. Okay. And so when Brianna Eccles got out of prison and started living at that house, is it fair to say that you have now had more access to your son? Why do you think that is?
Yes, because she knows that I'm a great father and my son needs me in his life. Been working, ever since I was 16, and I've kept consistent jobs my whole life. I'm completely stable. I raised 3 other kids, 3 dogs. I have a wife, a house, property. I mean, I don't see how that I am unstable of any sort for that.
Okay.
They have some kind of resentment for me. That's all that it is.
But I hear what you're saying, but I also see that you have not paid your child support as ordered. I mean, from the state's records, I do see that you have paid some child support. For instance, over the life of this court order, you owed $19,040 of child support. You've paid $6,967, but that leaves you a balance. There's also interest involved here. So the balance that's left over, at least as of yesterday, was $14,291.50. Why haven't you paid child support consistently?
Well, because I have, like I said, I have a full family here. I got 3 kids, 3 dogs, family to support for. Cost of living is outrageous. And it's a lot cheaper to take care of a kid day by day than send somebody a whole bunch of money every month, not even knowing that it's even going to the kid.
Okay.
And I do purchase clothes and the things he needs. As soon as his mother calls me and tells me, hey, he needs this or he needs that. Okay, he gets exactly what he needs.
Okay. But okay, I'm gonna put a pen in the child support questions for now. Mr. Sells, I want to get back to the conservatorship from your perspective. You had said earlier that you were not seeking to have custody of Bryson, but between Brianna Eccles and Carolyn Eccles, who do you believe, considering Bryson's best interest, who do you believe should have custody of him?
His mother.
And why is that?
Because, he does come over here, come stay the weekends with us. Of course I ask him, do you want to come live here or what? I talk to him about it. His mom is his everything. That his mom is where he wants to be. And I've got all kinds of fun things to do for him here. Activities, pools, things like that. Things for him to go out, be outdoors and have fun with other kids at any time. And be right there with his mother is his main answer always.
Okay.
And she's come farther than I've ever seen I mean, in my life of knowing her, just in the year she's been out.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, she used to not ever be able to provide for herself, buy her own like cars or anything like that. It was always like mom or dad or somebody. But ever since she's gotten out of prison and turned her life around, she's gotten more responsible. She bought her own car. She's taking care of everything that she needs to take care of with her parole meetings or whatever that is. And I mean, it's a huge change from what I've known.
Okay. If the court orders that Miss Brianna Eccles were to get conservatorship of Bryson, then you may be ordered to pay child support to her instead of Carolyn. Do you understand that?
That would be fine because she's the one that's already taking care of him. Whenever if I was to send money right now to them, it's me and her taking care of him, but the grandmother is collecting all the money for no reason.
Well, there is a reason. She's ordered to receive child support from you, and
Well,
court order.
not taking care of him, though.
Well, I mean, I don't want to speak for Miss Eccles, but it's obvious that, you know, Bryson lives at her home along with Brianna, that, you know, his grandparents, you know, shelter him. And I'm sure if I provided him with food and so forth, some basic needs. So how can you say she's not taking care of him?
I mean, then using the money that she gets from the government to take care of him, that's all that there is. She doesn't. Whenever I first started seeing him again, he was asking me to buy him clothes because all his clothes at home were too small and didn't fit. That's when I started buying. He's got a whole new wardrobe at my house that he has to leave here because I don't want him taking it over there, leaving it, forgetting it, and then he has nothing here.
Okay. You understand that you are in arrears to Miss Eccles, to Miss Carolyn Eccles. What's your plan to deal with that? To deal with that amount that you owe and continues to grow on you every month that child support's not paid. What's your plan to address that?
I don't know. I'd like to see where we end up here because I honestly feel that she is not the one that needs to be getting that money when she's not the one financially taking care of him.
Okay.
And all y'all see is what y'all have from 6 years ago, 2019. I don't know. I just don't understand it.
Okay. When we were talking earlier, I went ahead and calculated income based on $800 per week that you get at your current job, which is from what I understand, empty gutters. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. What kind of work is that? What do you do for that?
Gutter installation.
Installation?
Yeah, install gutters.
Okay. You have a 5-year-old daughter, and
Yes.
And you also take care of 2 other kids that live with you and your girlfriend. Is that right?
Yes, 10 and 7.
Okay. When I calculated child support, the amount that I got at that pay rate is $479 per month. When it comes to medical support, the state would be seeking $25 per month for the government assistance health plan. Do you think that's too high, or do you think that's appropriate amount of child support?
I don't know. I think that's too high.
And why is it too high?
Because what child needs $400 a month that has food paid for by the government? I think that's a little excessive.
And do you mean when food paid for
his mother?
Government, you mean the income that Miss Eccles receives?
I'm sorry?
When you mean the food that his food is paid for by the government, do you mean the income that Miss Eccles receives, or is there some other source?
The food stamps, benefits.
Oh, I see. Okay. Okay. What do you think child support should be if it's not $479?
I mean, honestly, I don't know. I feel like that's too high.
Do you think it should remain the $280 that it is currently?
Yeah, I do.
So it shouldn't go up from there?
I mean, I don't think so.
But is it fair to say your income has gone up since back in 2019 when you were making closer to $2,000 per month?
When we spoke earlier, you said y'all had my income down at $2,900 and it's now $3,300. So I don't see the big difference.
Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and pull up the order. I'm pretty sure I didn't say 2,900, but let me just go ahead and pull it back up here. It looks like the findings from the last court order in 2019 indicated your gross monthly income was $2,080. $2,080.
Okay.
And so that's about $1,400 less, a little
Yeah.
than what I calculate now. And so now that you're making more money, do you think that your child support should go up as a consequence?
No, because the price of living since COVID has gone way up.
Okay. With regard to the arrears outstanding currently owed to Ms. Carolyn Eccles, the state's going to ask that a judgment be taken against you in the amount of $14,011.50 for child support and medical support. Same date as of September 30th, 2024. I'm asking for a judgment of $2,867.70. To pay those off over time, I'm asking the court to order that you pay $100 a month in back pay for the child support arrears and $25 a month for the back pay on the medical support arrears. And the reason I'm not asking for more than that, even though normally I probably would, is because I think your child support should go up. But I also think that you have to pay something towards your arrears, or otherwise they're just going to linger out there and grow forever, for a long time, for who knows when. So until you can get a control over that, you're not doing yourself any good. But I also want to see that child support be the biggest priority when it comes to this issue. So that's the reason that I'm reciting these numbers. But when I add them all together, 479 plus 25 plus 100 plus another 25, that comes out to, I think $629 per month altogether to pay your current support and to pay your back what you owe currently. What do you say to those two numbers I told you about for the back payment, for the arrears, the $100 and the $25? Are you in agreement with those amounts?
I think if I'm $17,000 in debt at 280 and you raise it up to six something, I don't understand how you expect me to pay that.
Okay. You said
I'm
do you get paid
behind,
weekly or?
make me more behind. So, yeah, I'm not sure.
Do you get paid weekly?
Yes.
Okay. And so I think I mentioned this earlier, but if I take that amount and I try to figure out how much that would be per week, that'd be $145.15 per week. What do you think that's doable?
I don't.
Okay. What do you think you could afford to do?
I don't know.
Okay.
Do not know.
All right. Is there anything else you wanted to say with going back to the conservatorship issue between Brianna and Carolyn Eccles?
I mean, other than everything that they have told y'all and testified again, it's mostly I have stuff that I would like y'all to hear before this gets closed.
Okay. What is it that you wanted the court to hear? Like what subject? What is it? What is the subject? Is
Just
it related to custody?
just basically Bill admitting how much of a monster she is. Every day she drinks. It's so unhealthy for him over there, and even for Brianna. But she's grown. There's nothing I mean, it's toxic. And I have voice recordings of Bill just talking about how bad she is. Even her own husband, he's lying to you on this conference call, but I have his voice on my phone stating how terrible of a person she is.
And do you think that's because of the drinking?
Yes, I do. I do.
Okay.
He says she's in the video. He says she's vindictive and manipulating and a monster, and he doesn't like how she is.
Two lives.
Okay. You said there was some documentation that you wanted to present to the court, I believe.
Yes, sir. I mean,
What is that documentation?
It would be like a video.
A video of what?
It's a voice recording of me and Bill's conversation at one point when I went to try to get my son.
And what is the voice recording say?
What I just said, that he says that she's manipulative and vindictive and a monster, and that he doesn't want to be around her.
Okay. All right then. Is there anything else you wanted to say before I pass you on to the next whoever else wants to ask you questions?
No.
Okay, I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Let's see, Brianna, do you have any questions for Mr. Sells?
Just one, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Do you feel that if the child support was put in my name, that you would make your payments like you're supposed to?
I feel like I would, if it was a little bit lower, I would make a lot more, like, I don't know what's the word. I would make a lot more effort to trying to squeeze out what I can. Then, because at least I know when I send it to you, it's going to him. It's not going to their bills. Like, it's going to my son. They won't, I don't know, it's hard. Money has never really been the issue, but the way they press it out of me, like use him as blackmail for money, it's just a different story. I'm not full of it. I have recordings.
Okay, Mr. Sells is talking. Don't interrupt Mr. Eccles. Any follow-up, Ms. Eccles? Brianna?
No, not at all.
No, ma'am. That's the only question I had for him.
Okay, I think you were going to say you don't have any questions either, Ms. Caroline Eccles, or do you?
My husband has questions.
Well, he's not the party here. It's you. So if he wants to write down the questions for you.
No, I don't have anything to say to him.
Well, let me let you think about it, or he can whisper it in. I know he's there. He can talk or communicate, but Mr. Sells, tell me about you, just briefly and quickly, because now the time's been eaten up and I gotta get going here. Your history. Do you have any history of arrests of any kind?
No, ma'am. I got arrested when I was 17 years old for marijuana, but that's the only time that I've ever been criminally charged.
Did you get charged as a 17-year-old, or what happened to that charge?
I'm sorry?
Did you get charged and convicted, or did it go away because you were still minor, or what?
It got expunged, I think he said, because I wasn't 18 yet. But
well, you weren't 18 when it happened, but by the time it got resolved in court, you were still under 18. Is that what you're trying to tell me? It looks like he froze. Everybody else is still moving on my screen, but Mr. Sells, Mr. Balderas, you can hear me?
Yes, Your Honor, I can hear you.
Did Mr. Sells freeze up on your camera? You see it?
Yes. Yes, he did. I don't know if his phone died or.
That would normally happen at the end of a hearing to just prolong it. Yes, I can't continue without him. A lot of times it unfreezes in about a minute, or he gets dropped off and he calls back in or logs back in. Yep. Just like predicted, let's give him a minute to come back. Since he's not here, we can't talk about the case. I'm going to give him a chance to come back. I'm just going to stop my audio and video. I'm still here. I can still hear everything. Y'all don't talk. Let's wait for Mr. Sells. It looks like we got you back, Mr. Sells.
There we go. Yeah.
Okay. You frozen. Then I was predicting that you'd be dropped off. You'd come back. We waited a minute. Nobody talked about anything. That's okay.
It froze.
I was trying to figure out if you were a 17-year-old with the marijuana. I thought you said arrest and possible conviction.
Yeah, I was
expunged. How did it happen before you turned 18?
I got arrested. I was actually on my way home from work, and I stopped at a buddy's house, picked up a little bit of marijuana, and I got caught for, I guess he pulled me over for leaving a known drug location, I guess is what he said. I got charged. Well, I didn't get charged. They put me in a holding cell, and my parents came and picked me up.
Okay.
And it's not on my record.
Somebody paid to get the arrest expunged, or you weren't?
Yes. Well, I wasn't 18 yet.
Okay.
Other than that, that's the only time I've ever been like criminally convicted of anything.
Anything? Well, you've had.
Other than a traffic ticket, that's all that I've had.
And you're under oath on the record. You're also telling me you weren't ever addicted to anything or did any drugs or alcohol to excess?
No, ma'am. I smoked pot, but that was it. I've never.
Are those days over? Or are you still doing? Are those days over or not?
Yes, ma'am.
CPS or Department of Family and Protective Services hasn't been called to your house to investigate abuse or neglect of children?
No. I mean, other than for Bryson a long time ago, no, not since then.
Okay, but I'm talking about your current children.
No.
Your girlfriend's children. And I assume it was because of mom's conduct, or was it your conduct that they got called in for?
Honestly, it's so many years ago. I'd say 50-50. I mean, I don't know.
You don't know who, what the claim was on who was neglectful or?
Oh, I mean, I could be honest and tell you exactly why I got CPS called on me, but I mean, that's not going to help anything.
Well, I'm just curious if it went anywhere, how long the investigation was, or it got to court, or is that how?
I had to do a 6-month parenting class because I failed for the marijuana, and I passed all those drug tests and got my son back, and that was it.
And you're talking about Bryson?
Yes.
But mom, Miss Brianna wasn't involved in that case, or was she worse off than you were at that point?
No, I
wasn't using, Your Honor.
She hadn't been doing anything yet. That didn't start until later after we split up, like way later.
Okay, I get it. Any other things in your background that I should know about?
No, ma'am.
How old are you? How old are you?
26.
26. And what kind of job do you have?
I do gutter installation.
Oh, that's right. You told us already. I've had so much information all afternoon. If I don't write it down, I'm gonna forget it. I had heard, and I'm not sure, did I hear right, that you did provide some monies or some necessaries in the way of clothes or supplies or something?
Yes, ma'am. I bought.
Trying to visit. Hold on. From your perspective, did you actually give money or items to Mr. and Miss Eccles for Bryson that could be considered child support, and excluding the $100 bill to Bryson?
Yes.
How much?
CashApp, and I sent them.
CashApp? Or
yes, I sent them either cash or I would send CashApp money to Brianna, and she would deposit or withdraw it out of her bank and give it to her parents.
You have any idea how much that was?
Not off the top of my head, but I have all the receipts. I
Well,
kept all the
I have-
receipts.
I can't
Probably
get
about 600,
okay.
maybe 400 to 600, somewhere in there.
Oh my God.
And you sure Brianna gave it to her parents or?
Yeah, because I wouldn't know. Yeah.
And never bought them clothes or school supplies that they got to keep, not that you got to keep?
Yes, ma'am. I bought all his school clothes this year that are at his house, his grandparents' house.
The value of that?
$300.
Anything else?
Not that's at their house, no.
So if I believed you, anywhere from $700 to $900 in the way of money and or clothes?
Not to them, but to him.
Well, you bought the clothes for the child and gave them to the child? Or did they go through the mother?
No, man. He was there. He was with me. He went, picked out all his clothes, came home, sent him with bags, and sent him back to the grandparents.
When was that?
The weekend, right before school started.
So you're talking about 2 months ago, August?
Yes.
So you're real clear in your memory about that?
Yes, ma'am. It was the last weekend before school started.
And Brianna would know this too?
Yes.
Okay. You know that there's laws on the books about stuff, and actually it's called guideline child support because it's a starting point, and I can take all sorts of facts into account in whether I should order guideline support or whether I should order more or I should order less. But I'm trying to figure out why you think guideline support should not apply to you. You just think your budget won't make it. Does your girlfriend work or
Yes.
y'all split the bills?
Yes.
Are you in an expensive apartment or home, or are you buying a house or what?
I'm buying an RV.
So without me having to break it down item by item, do you know what your monthly budget is as far as what you spend on the house or your share of the bills or whatever?
Like what I have extra after bills paid.
No, what you pay
What I
in
pay?
bills.
Well, just in rent, I pay $1,900.
Wait, is that a lot rental if you're buying an RV, or does that include the RV?
It's the lot rent plus the RV rent. The rent to own.
And you can't break it down between those two items?
So the lot that I pay is $820, and the RV payment is $850.
$850?
Yes.
So that's more like $1,670 instead of $1,900, or are you including bills?
And then plus I think it's my last water bill was $160, $180, and electricity
How much is that?
average $200 because do what?
That's closer to the 1,900 that you're talking about?
Yes.
I'm trying to do the math real quick manually. So between you and Brianna's the one with the worst background with respect to criminal activity, substance use or abuse, and or welfare checks.
I'm sorry, I don't understand.
And between you and mom, she's the one who's asking for custody. Her background's worse than yours.
Yes.
And even with all that you've heard or that you know, you don't think that today it would be, it would have a negative impact on Bryson if I put Brianna in charge?
I mean, he's my son. I wouldn't want him in any danger at all. And from the year that she's been out, like I said, she's made more progress than I've ever seen my whole life knowing her. I mean, I trust that she would take great care of him.
Okay, and I think you came in and the state announced that there was a three-way custody fight with you included, but you backed off before we actually started, and you're not asking for legal custody at this time.
No.
Okay. Let's see. Did anybody else have any cross-examination questions for Mr. Sells? Brianna, anything else for him?
No, ma'am.
Carolyn, any questions that you may have come up with or?
No.
No. Any further witnesses, Mr. Valderas, or any recall of these witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
Do you have any other witnesses to call, Ms. Carolyn Eccles?
No, ma'am, I don't.
Do you have anything else to present on your own behalf? Like let's call it a summary statement, short and sweet and brief about what I should do and why today?
I think you should let Bryson stay with me and Poppy. I still think my daughter is way too immature to put him first in her world. I haven't seen any of that from her yet. She's trying very hard, but she's not quite there yet. And I filled out all the paperwork and stuff for his school before she was out, or when she was getting out. We didn't know when she was going to be home. So I went ahead and filled out all the paperwork at school with all my information. All the teachers know me. They didn't even know she existed. And I hadn't changed anything, because when I've gotten texts from the teacher and, you know, Bryson's fallen asleep or he's done, which he's never done before, she's like, oh, well, what do you want me to do? You know, that's not an answer to me.
Well, you didn't get a chance to reply, and I guess I do want to hear it. Let me point blank ask you, I've heard stuff about your drinking and that it's not just...
Yes, I do. No, I drink wine. I have maybe 3-4 glasses of wine, half water, half wine. I'm not a monster. I'm not a tyrant. I don't steal money from my grandson. I took that $100 to buy him clothes and school supplies and shoes and socks and underwear.
And how much, or have you gotten anything in the way of actual cash or CashApp? I haven't heard anything.
No, I mean, we got 3. I mean, he said 150 one week, 150 another week. That was it. And we're on fixed income. So
are you talking about directly to you or through the AG account?
Through the AG. Well, no, he cash apped it. He was supposed to go through the AG account and he didn't.
And so you see it as more as $300 total, only twice with the cash app?
Yes. So every little bit he gives to me and Poppy goes to Bryson. We're on a fixed income.
No, I get that, but we can't track it through the system if it didn't go through the system. But if you were managing or getting money that way for the child, I have to, on a one-time basis, consider it and tell him never to do that again, because that's why we tell you not to do it to begin with. But here we are.
Yes, I understand, Judge, and I told him don't go through it. Go through the Attorney General's office, because I have no record of any of this.
Why wouldn't you have a Cash App account that you could open real fast and look at it and tell me how much is actually there?
No, I don't have the Cash App account. My daughter does. He went through my daughter.
Okay.
He didn't go through me.
Okay. Anything else in the way of clothes for school this year? He didn't purchase a bunch of clothes?
Yes, Tristan and Brianna did. I bought his school supplies, which were $75 before school let out.
So how much do you think the clothes was valued at?
I don't know what they spent.
Walmart.
Oh, they went to Walmart. I don't know. And my phone's about to run out. Can I go get my cord and plug it in?
You may as well before I lose you and have to wait longer. So yes.
Your Honor, can you hear me?
I can, but your wife's not there and she's the party, so I don't want to talk about this case without her present. So wait till she comes back, and if she wants to call you, I'll let that happen. And for some reason, my video button, which I am not touching, somehow keeps stopping my video. So if didn't even pay attention. I didn't realize that had happened. It's not purposeful.
Okay.
Okay, Miss Carolyn Nichols, you stepped away to get a charger.
I got it.
It's plugged in?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, I was asking you about, well, I thought I asked you about school supplies and the Cash App, but anything else on those issues?
No.
While you walked away, your husband wanted to talk to me and I didn't let him because you weren't here to hear it. Is there anything you want your husband to say to me at this time?
Sure. Here he is, Judge.
Okay. William Eccles, what do you want to say, sir?
Yes, ma'am. I realize I'm not on the paperwork. I don't know why. I mean, so from the time we've had this little boy, it's been me that I'm more than her that collected money that I worked for and put towards this little boy's education, towards his bringing up. I resent the fact that his father would even think that he gives us money and we go out and we spend it on whatever. We live in, if you came to see right now where we live, you would tell, we don't live in anything close like a mansion. We're not doing anything with his money, which was very little to begin with. There's not a whole lot we could have done with it, but we put every cent towards this little boy. And it really irks me that he would even say that. Yeah, I was trying to be nice and be on his side a little bit, but now I'm a little bit irritated because it's not true.
I'm not going to ask you about that recording. I don't care anymore. But if you're coming back, I don't want you to start from scratch from birth or anything.
No, I don't want to. I'm not.
But I have to decide something that you may or may not think is right. However, I'm looking at whether dad is entitled to any kind of credits. And that would be if he did pay money outside the system that were used for the child. Now, what do you recall as far as what he did or didn't do as far as money or necessaries?
As far as what, ma'am?
Money, Cash App, or cash to you? You said you were the one that controlled the money when he gave it, and something about for the child's education?
No, that's not what I meant. I didn't control his money. I mean, the money that came in this house, where my wife and I, we both have our bank accounts with Randolph Brooks. The money, if there's any money that our money goes into the bank account, and we pay our bills and we buy groceries and things for Bryson and all that through the bank. Like I said, there was no. I mean, he just with what he said is completely fabricated because there's no, and he has no proof that we would take his money and spend it on anything else but Bryson.
Well, I don't care what you spend it on. What I care is, did he give you money that was intended for Bryce? And that's the part that I'm not. I thought you said you collected money and put it toward the child's education.
I saw a $100 bill. That's the only time I saw cash for him. And that's $100 that he said that we stole or whatever. But that's anyway. But that's the money I saw. I didn't even know it was good. I didn't even know about Cash App. I've never even heard of it.
What did you mean when you first said you collected money and put it towards the child's education? I think those are the first words you said, and I wrote it down.
I didn't mean education. I didn't mean education. I meant education along with everything else. Education to me is his school clothes or his school supplies or whatever. Whatever money came from him went to Bryson in the way of what his needs.
Okay, so do you not have any recollection of how much that was that you used for the child's needs that came from Tristan?
It was very little. That's all I can say. I can't give you a dollar amount, but I know it wasn't a lot.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, your wife is still there and heard it all, and I guess she can get back in the picture.
Yeah, she's right over there. Yeah, she's right here within in hearing. We live in a small home, so it's easy to hear.
Okay.
I'm here.
Brianna, then I have to ask you, did money go through your hands that was through Cash App or whatever, or cash, and how much was it, and did you give it to your parents?
Yes, ma'am. I will have to find the Cash App transactions, but Tristan did Cash App me money. And I did pull the money out and I gave it to my mom. What it was spent on, I don't know.
I don't
but I
care
did
what
give
was
it to her.
spent. I want to know what the amount is. Nobody can tell me an amount. Everybody's guessing or not recollecting. And
I want to say a total of $300 within that time. And then after that is when he started making payments through the Attorney General's website when he had officially gotten it set up.
okay, so if he did like 300 through Cash App, how much in the value of the clothes that he bought for school this year?
He supplied Bryson with everything. So I would say the value would be around the $300. He got him brand new everything: clothes, shoes, socks, underwear, jackets, everything that he needed for to have for over a full week of school. So it wouldn't be necessary to continuously go out and buy him school clothes. He was able to have enough.
Okay, Tristan told me about $400 to $600 in Cash App and about $300 for school clothes, which I said was that adds up to either 700 or 900. Your parents said the $100 bill and or amount unknown because they don't recall, and you're saying 300 and 300, 600.
Yes, ma'am.
And I think Miss Carolyn Eccles did agree to the 150 twice through Cash App. I think
Yes, ma'am. And if I can find it, I do have proof of when it was sent and how much was sent on the transactions.
Okay, you're hearing loud and clear, Tristan, that you can't do that ever again, that you've had your one shot at the dog bite and it's like, that's it. You don't have any more. It got to go through the account for it to count, whoever it goes to, grandma or mom. Now, if I give you any credit, it'd be to what's owed to grandma. And I'll just tell you, Miss Eccles, you and your husband have clearly said it's not about the money, or your husband did anyway, but it is always about the money. So you're entitled to that, and it's going to collect interest. And so trying to figure out what's fair to do here at the end, even on the math of child support and credit towards the court-ordered previous child support. And I know what your arguments are, but I guess, Brianna, now that I've let everybody say their piece, closing persuasive summary of why I should give you custody at this point.
I feel that you should give me custody. It's not because I'm going to sit here and look at you and be like, because I'm his mom, and because, anybody can be a mom. I gave birth to him, but I feel that now, because of the damage that's already been done to him, all I want to do is make things better. And I know he wants more than anything in the world for me to be his mom and be there and let me make decisions for him. I've told you in the past that I've made my mistakes, but for it to get continuously said that I'm not going to put him first, I've never been given the option to, because I've always had someone else there making the decisions or saying this or saying that. And I don't feel that that's right at all. I feel like I need to learn as a mother, because my parents aren't going to be around forever. And if something goes wrong, I need to know right then and there, what am I supposed to do? I can't look up in the sky and ask my parents, what am I supposed to do? I should know these things. Regardless if Tristan has been in Bryson's life or not, he has another child, and he also is taking care of 2 other kids. So he's got more of an experience when it comes to being the father that I don't have as being a mother. And that's what I want. I want to be able to make decisions and not get screamed at for it, or get told that I'm doing wrong, or get told anything, because I would never put my son in danger. And I just feel, I know whatever decision that you make is going to be what you feel is the best, but I'm asking you for a chance, because I haven't been able to been given that chance, and I've been trying ever since I've came home.
Nobody ever raises children with perfection. I don't think that's possible. And even if you think you're doing it, they'll have something to come back with. Oh, it's too perfect. I didn't have a troubled life like everybody else had. I've seen it all, but okay. Mr. Balderas, I skipped you purposely. I think they all did their closings first. Did you need to wrap up with any financials or something else I need to hear?
Your Honor, I think with regard to the child support issues, the state is asking for a judgment against Mr. Sells for those amounts that I stated earlier, particularly for child support, $14,011.50 as of September 30th, 2024. Also, medical support judgment of $2,929, and 70 cents. Also, as of
Wait. You told me it was 2,867 and 70 cents. That's not the right number anymore?
let me just double check to make sure, Your Honor.
Yeah, you said September 30th. I wrote that date down for both of them, but yeah, those line items kind of run crooked sometimes. So just double check what the right number is. And attach it to the back of the order so I can see it and confirm it, as well as
Yes, Your Honor. And yes, you are correct, Your Honor. As of September 30th, 2024, it was $2,867.70. I had just read the wrong line.
Yeah.
But that's the actual
Thank you.
$2,867.70.
Okay.
And with regard to those judgments, Your Honor, the state's asking that Mr. Sells be ordered to pay $100 a month towards the medical child support arrears, and $25 a month towards the medical support arrears. And with regard to the current child support, the state's recommendation is $479 for child support, which does mean his child support would go up about $199. However, his medical support would go down if the court follows the state's recommendation from 62 to 25. So altogether, that difference, I believe, is about $162 would be the increase in child support obligation if the court were to go with the state's recommendation on guidelines. As far as whether he should pay that to Miss Carolyn Eccles or to Miss Brianna Eccles, the state takes no position on that. But if the court were to order that the child remain in the custody of Carolyn Eccles, then I believe she testified that she is not seeking child support from Miss Brianna Eccles. However, the state would ask that Miss Brianna Eccles be ordered to pay $25 a month for medical support for the cost of the government health plan to begin November 1, 2024, and no retroactive child support judgment against Miss Eccles. If the court were to order that the child be in the custody of Miss Brianna Eccles, then the state would ask that Mr. Tristan Sells be ordered to pay Brianna Eccles the same amount of child support that I had just mentioned earlier. However, with the judgments and the back payments going to Miss Carolyn Eccles for the arrears.
Okay. Despite all it was civil animosity. Usually I get people calling names and maybe talking out of turn and getting really heated and upset, and that's never healthy, and it makes things worse. So I appreciate what y'all have done here today and try to keep it civil, but still try to tell your sides of the story. I talked to Bryston for an hour. He's a lovely boy. You got surprised how lovely he is, considering y'all are bickering and some of the stuff I've heard in his background. But he did confirm some of the stuff, and he did even some of the ugly stuff. So I'm not going to rat him out. And I told him a 10-year-old doesn't get to decide his fate. The adults get to. But he, just so you know, here on the record, he did tell me that he wanted to have his mom get custody back. He actually said, Mr. Sells, just so you know, I hope he's not watching. I told him not to. I told him to stay quiet in his room and not come listen through the door or anything. He said his relationship with you wasn't so good, and and I'm just shocked that you had him for a month and there was no fallout. But I thought you were the bad guy for a minute, but he didn't make it. He just said maybe he didn't get along, or I don't remember the words. I'm not going to repeat it, but I think what I heard from him is you need to work on your relationship with him. Whatever you think is not quite there yet in his little brain. Mom, he thinks you're the best. He does know about your history. He tried to tell me. I was trying not to surprise him with a sibling if he didn't already know, and he managed to tell me that himself. He knows. I think you've been upfront. It sounded like you've been upfront and honest, and he knows some of the bad stuff, and he thinks you turned it around. Grandma, he was real blunt about you, and he did mention some aggressiveness and the drinking part on his own. But I am persuaded by his request for wanting to stay with Mom at this time. and I'm persuaded by the facts that maybe grandparents, you did a heck of a job because he is a good kid. Parents, you did the best you could under the circumstances. Now you're doing better and can do better. Maybe it's time you did step up and be responsible for your child instead of grandparents. Maybe it's time for you to be grandparents again, Ms. Eccles, you and your husband. I know it's been hard, and I know how hard it's going to be to let go, but they're still in your house. That doesn't mean you don't have a relationship with him. That just means you don't have to worry about the bills for him. She does, and he does. And between you and your daughter to fix what's happened between you all, or what can happen between, which I think would be good, especially if you're under the same roof of your own accord, even given the problems you may have had recently or since mom came back home and restarted her life. So let me go through the order. Yes, I am gonna. Well, tell me, this is a modification or it's a suit affecting on the mom because the order with the grandma was without prejudice. Is that what I remember, Mr. Valderas?
That's right, Your Honor.
So it's a suit affecting. So, well, then you also have to call it a mod because we are changing that order. Is that correct too?
Yes, Your Honor. It is. There's a modification as well.
Okay. Then dad's already been established and dad's rights aren't being requested to be modified, correct, Mr. Valderas?
That's correct, Your Honor.
So what did he have, the joint managing conservatorship or the possessory conservatorship?
He was a joint managing conservator.
Okay, well, he did not have primary, but he has standard visits under the old standard, I assume, before the new standard came in?
That is correct, Your Honor.
That's slightly different, and I guess you're used to it, Mr. Sells. You're not. They didn't actually plead for me to change anything with respect to you. So other than to say how much you owe in back child support and how much you owe in current child support, because it would now go to mom. So this custody and visits you have in the old order, I'm supposed to leave alone. Is that okay with you? Do you have any problems with that? It's pretty much okay.
Perfect.
It's what you're entitled to, but under a previous law that's no longer in effect, it changed a little bit. But I think you and mom can work it out. If it's more and you want more, y'all can do it on your own.
That's the whole point of this.
Father remains a joint managing conservator and had the standard visits under the 2019 order. Mother now is named also a joint managing conservator with the primary right of establishing the child's residence. And of course, it can be wherever you want, including under your mother's roof, your parents' roof, Miss Eccles, until you decide it should be different. So I actually have to remove then the grandmother as a joint to give it to the mom.
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm writing all this down so I don't forget it when it comes in and I'm reviewing the order. Then on the issue, I don't have to order visitation because dad already has visitation now. Current support. Let me point blank ask you, Ms. Eccles, you heard Mr. Sells say he wants to pay child support. I'm not sure 280 is the right number. I'm not sure 479. Is that what you told me? 479 is the right number or not? Well, what are you asking for, Ms. Eccles?
Honestly, Your Honor, it's been so much over the last 9 years. And I mean, as of right now, I feel in my own opinion that Tristan hasn't been able to make his own child support payments now with it being the 280. I don't see how he's going to be able to make it even now more so if it got raised up. I feel that I'm willing to, I would want the financial help, Your Honor, as far as if I call him and say, hey, like, you know, Bryson needs a new pair of shoes, or he grew out of his clothes because he hit puberty and it was just something that was a need be, he would still do it. But then still, when it came to the month ending, he would still support me in sending something for the welfare of Bryson.
Well, I've seen people negotiate outside of court. You're in court now. I get to decide. But if y'all have an agreement for something else, I'd be happy to entertain it. If you want, you're saying, but you know you're giving up a lot. If you're saying you don't want 479, I actually think 280 is too little. But what about 350, 325, something like that? That won't totally break your bank, Mr. Sells, but a few extra dollars. I see you nodding. Is that a yes or no?
It was a question for me, or yes? I mean,
Yeah,
yes.
that is a question for you first. And how do you feel about 350 or something else, Ms. Eccles?
Your Honor, I just want to be able to gather something so that way he can initially pay what is already owed, and get his stuff on the right track when it comes to his child support, and then just further take care of Bryson financially.
So you're willing to vary from the guideline. You don't want 479. Are you saying you want 280 to continue?
I just want it, Your Honor, and that's a hard decision to make because I want to make sure that he's going to pay it. So that's why I said raising it up to the 479. He hasn't paid the 280 now. So 479, I mean, I feel like that's a little extreme.
Well, I do see where he might, with you all negotiating, do the extras when he has it and help along the way if he didn't have to be stuck with the 479 all along. But I'm saying 280 is too low. What about 325?
I'm okay with that.
Mr. Sells, you said you were okay with that too?
Yes, ma'am.
You're agreeing to that?
Yes, ma'am.
You're agreeing to waive from the guideline, Ms. Eccles, to do that?
Yes, ma'am.
In the expectation, it's not going to be in the order, but if you do extra and you can keep her happy, then maybe they don't come back to zap you with more. But that's not part of the order. Whatever I put in the order is what you're entitled to, and you don't want 479. I can make a finding that you all agreed to less than guideline support in open court.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you put that in the order, Mr. Valderas? I'll do 325 based on the agreement between the parties in open court.
Yes, Your Honor.
And I'm writing that down so I can add it in if you forget.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, 325 a month. That's starting, I assume, November 1st.
Yes, Your Honor.
And do put Mother Wave's guideline.
Yes, Your Honor.
But that it was 479, so we all don't forget when we see them back in 3 years when y'all do another modification. Okay, child support, medical support. I don't mind if the state or the government or whatever gets some money for the program. If you want $25, I'm willing to give it to you, Mr. Valderas. You're not asking for more.
No, Your Honor.
Okay, $25 a month for the government program. Mom, if you qualify, you can apply for the Medicaid, and Dad gets to pay $25. I don't think you're going to get a better deal anywhere if you provided your own insurance, Mr. Sells, for 100% coverage. So you don't get the 25, Ms. Eccles. The state keeps it for the Medicaid program.
Yes, ma'am.
And then you're obligated to apply for and obtain or get the Medicaid in your name and now no longer in your mom's name. Custody visits, support, current support, insurance, now the arrears. I'm going to find, and I'm going to take your word for it until the paperwork comes in, and I'll double check you, Mr. Valderas, but you said the amount of that the pay records showed as of September 30th, $14,011.50. I'm going to give $600 credit off of that and reduce the judgment to, is that $13,411.50, Mr. Valderas?
You said you were giving.
$600 total credit.
Okay.
That was $300 necessaries and $300 cash.
I get $13,411.50.
We're on the same page. Let me give me a second to tell you the arrears. Let me go to medical support. If the pay record shows as of September 30th, $2,867.70, I can't take away from that, Mr. Sells. That's for the government insurance program, and I'm not taking that away from the state. So that's what you owe to the state. I assume there's no independent amount owed to Ms. Eccles on that. It's all state money.
Most of it is, Your Honor.
Most of it.
But $407.65 owed to Ms. Eccles.
Okay. Then with a little bit less of judgment on the child support, state usually does some math for me on that. Is it less than 100 now, or you were that was the lowest amount you could possibly ask for, Mr. Valderas?
Your Honor, I was going intentionally low in my recommendation. If it had been this amount, I would still would have recommended $100.
Because even with the lower amount interest it's going to be 6% annual interest. So, it's like having a credit card or a bank loan that doesn't go away, and I can't forgive it. The state can't forgive it. The mom could forgive it down the road if she wanted to, but she doesn't have to either. Well, no, that's not true. This is money owed to grandmom. I'm sure she's not going to forgive it. She doesn't have to forgive it. I wouldn't even ask her, Mr. Sells. It's back pay for what she was entitled to when this order was effectuated. So $13,411 would probably carry about $65 worth of interest.
I think just looking at the history, Your Honor, it's about a little over $50.
50.
Probably 53, 54.
Somehow your computer's always more favorable, but in my head, 6% is always a little higher, but that's fine. You need to pay some principal on top of interest. If I leave the medical support arrears real low, can you do the $100 now with the $325 in child support, Mr. Sells?
What do you, so for something like
So,
today?
well, let me see. The math is $325 plus child support, $25 medical support. Let's keep it $25 for medical support arrears, and if I left it $100 for child support arrears to grandma, the total would be $475. Yeah. So you're not into 600, 700, but you're back up to 475. But it's not all child support, it's the whole ball of wax.
I would be able to pay that, but I would have to do it on Friday this week.
No, I'm not asking you to do anything right away. They'll take it out of your paycheck. However, if all this becomes due November 1st, you have a few weeks to breathe, and I assume you get an actual paycheck with a W-2. You're not a contractor.
Yes.
Okay. Then they'll put it in effect at some point, but don't let November go by and December go by. It doesn't come out of your paycheck. Then you're already 2 months behind everything. So,
Your Honor, just for the court's information, Mr. Sells, he does not get any money taken out of his check. I think it gets paid directly.
Yeah.
But on a weekly basis.
Okay. Well, then I would tell you, you're responsible for it, and we can give you the math, what it's going to be, and maybe you can.
I can do that, Your Honor.
Yeah, let's do that. And then you can start paying that amount weekly, and some days you can do it, and some days you can't. You just keep trying and don't do zeros. And then at some point, if you're entitled to a tax refund, they can take it, and they will take it. And it brings things down a little bit more, so you get paid quicker.
Okay.
Or you hit the lottery and you pay it all off. Don't play the lottery if you don't have money for it.
Your Honor, that comes out to $109.61 a week.
Okay.
109.51?
109.61, yes, Your Honor.
61.61. Okay.
Yes.
I didn't do it, but let me double check you. 475 times 12 months divided by 52 weeks. I get the same 109.62. Well, 61 or 62, whatever.
Or 110 even. I mean, if it was just
Yeah,
around.
that'd be easier to remember. 110, you're 39 cents short. So yeah, 110 a month. No, 110 weekly would equal the 475 monthly. And there's 12 months, but they're 52 weeks. So the math isn't always accurate for each month. It doesn't work that way. It's in the course of a year, you would have paid it all, even if you're short in the long months. Does that make sense, Mr.
Yep.
Sells? So if you do 110 a week, you're covered.
Okay.
Okay, then I'll leave it at that. So I will order 100 in arrears payment for child support and 25 in arrears payment for medical support. And those start November 1st as well. Now there's a bunch of ways to pay the child support. It is not to pay the grandmother directly. Go to their website. They have multiple ways, and it's easier, more electronic, and don't do the order says pretty much a P.O. box in San Antonio, but if you send a money order, it takes forever, and sometimes they get lost, and the mail is slow, and whatever. Do it electronically. That's allowed, or set up an account, or whatever you need to do, so you can just transfer money weekly or automatic payment out of your account.
It already before was, it was deposited into my bank account through the Attorney General's office before. I haven't changed anything.
Okay, well, that'll apply to two accounts now because you have your separate account, Ms. Eccles, and now Brianna's going to have her own for the current and yours for the back.
Your Honor, I had a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Receiving the child support from Tristan, I do not have an actual bank account. I have a bank account through my job that I
Talk
get
to
direct
the
deposits.
AG, look at their website. I think you get a card that they put the money on and you use their card. There's multiple ways. I can't even begin to tell you because I
Okay.
don't know all of them. It keeps changing on me, and that's not my part of the job. It's the AG's part to tell you, or to look online and you'll figure it out. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Call them and they can tell you what the options are. Okay. Custody, visits, current support, back support. There's no non-disclosure issues that I was able to figure out.
No, Your Honor, nothing like that came up.
And then court costs. I'm just gonna waive them. I'm not. There's enough to go around here. I'm not gonna worry about them. There's plenty for Mr. Sells to do. It's just one more thing to burden him with, and he wasn't the one that was required to bring this.
Yes, Your Honor.
Custody dispute. Okay. There was one more thing I wanted to say. What was it? Oh, usually when I'm flipping custody, I'd say there has to be a date and time where it actually, turn the child over because you live in different houses. You don't live in different houses. I don't think I need to worry about that. But really, we don't have the paperwork that gives you the right, Ms. Brianna Eccles, until I sign this order. So it is what it is. But you're still both in the house. Don't change your relationship with the child because you're mad at the judge for what she did today. I don't want to have to worry about it. I assume, Ms. Eccles, that you and your husband aren't going to kick Brianna and Bryson out.
No, of course not.
Or Miss Brianna, that you're all pissed off. You're going to walk out tomorrow to go anywhere just to get out.
No, ma'am.
That's this kind of case. I hope it's not, but I don't control what happens when you walk out of here. All I control is what's in the order, and that's what's going to stand, whether it happens tomorrow or the next day or in at least a week, because it might take that long to get it drafted, get it around to y'all to sign, and then for me to get it and sign it. So you're going to have priority homework. It's too late for today by 5:00. So check your emails, probably starting tomorrow, that anything coming in from the Texas Office of the Attorney General is this court order. So I'll ask you to review it and sign it as quick as possible. If you see any questions or problems or errors, you call the AG and resolve them. You can't call me. And you can't call anybody to complain about me. If you don't agree with my decision, you have the right to appeal it. It's a short window of time after you get the signed order, signed by me. Then your 3 days start running on which to file a notice of appeal and get it within in writing. File it with the district clerk's office. Give copies to every other party here, the AG and the other parent or the grandparent, and then get it into district court within 30 days by calling the clerk's office to get a court date for an appeal. Now, I tell you all that, so I did my job. Now, you're not going to remember any of it. I'm going to ask the state to put the de novo appeal rights attachment to the back of this order. I hope you don't, but on the other hand, you have the right. I need to tell you that. So if you do, you start over in a different court with a district judge, an elected official, with a court reporter, and it doesn't go as laid back as it is here, but you have the right to go there if that's what you really want to do and you think I made a mistake with my ruling today.